We meet our girl, a solid 10-10, selling watermelons and minding her own business. She's just trying to earn a living, but somehow she attracts the worst people in the city like she's running a villain magnet shop. She is shouting for customers when this greasy thug steps up looking like a complete scumbag. He grabs a slice with a toothpick, takes one chew, and immediately spits it out like trash. This bozo really claims that the fruit isn't sweet while accusing our girl of scamming. Suddenly, his ugly goons pull up and completely surround the poor girl's fruit stand. The leader tells his boys to kidnap this chick for a fun night. She screams out a massive no as these gross hands reach out to grab her right in broad daylight. Meanwhile, the useless bystanders in the background just stand there gossiping because they are too terrified of this thug boss named Fo. Those thugs hit our girl with that same old cliche, "Go ahead and scream, no one is coming to save you." Out of nowhere, a pole flies through the air and literally penetrates straight into boss's butt cheeks. The dude screams in agony, while his brothers yell that his behind just got completely destroyed. I'm pretty sure when they pull that stick out, his soul is going to exit too through his back door. Our hero Yui Han finally steps into the scene and promising to beat the absolute brakes off them for bullying his sister. The boss orders a kill, but Yahan just casually shoves his huge bamboo right into the boss's mouth. Looks like bro wants to rely on a bamboo stick even in bed. The boss looking goofy as hell and screams for his boys to do something fast. And then our hero's beating session finally kicks off. His sister begs them to stop, and suddenly a police car rolls up to the curb with its sirens flashing. The thugs scramble away in a dust cloud swearing revenge. And there is our hero, just lying unconscious on the road. His sister grabs him and cries her eyes out, begging him to wake up while holding his bleeding body. A drop of his blood drips straight down and lands right onto a weird green jade pendant. The pendant glows, Yui Han starts floating like he just unlocked a premium upgrade, and boom, power-up activated. His eyes burn, he screams, and next thing you know, he wakes up in a hospital bed. The first thing he sees isn't a doctor, it's a nurse, who is definitely breaking every dress code in the medical handbook. Our boy's new eyes are working a little too well, and he accidentally gets a face full of the nurse's assets while trying to sit up. He tries to play it off as an accident, but the nurse is ready to call security on this creep. Meanwhile, Yuhan's nose is steaming like his system can't handle high-quality visuals. Man really got divine power just to embarrass himself in 4K. Yui Han is sitting up in his hospital bed, wondering if he is totally losing his mind. Suddenly, the door flies open and his sister bursts into the room asking if he is okay. He tries to act cool, but his eye suddenly flashes and he gets a shock staring right at her. He covers his eyes, screaming for her to put some clothes on, completely exposing that his brain is in the gutter. His sister touches his forehead, completely confused, wondering how this boy just permanently broke his own brain. He asks what he is yapping about since she is fully dressed, leaving Yui Han sweating and wondering how her outfit just magically reappeared. Suddenly, a massive glowing blue astrology circle lights up behind him like a magic trick. The text drops the lore, saying his left eye sees the spirit world and his right eye sees straight through solid matter. He realizes he just unlocked the ultimate peeping cheat code and immediately decides to test this broken power out. His eyes glow bright blue as he looks past his sister and the nurse, sending his vision flying straight through the hospital walls. Hilly's X-ray vision locks onto a private doctor's office where absolutely scandalous behavior is going down during work hours. Time to get jealous, guys. Even this bald grandpa got a girl and you guys are still painfully virgin. Yui Han was getting super irritated, but honestly he was saluting the old man for having that much raw stamina. He activates his glowing eye again, and this time he spots a blonde nurse holding a syringe from behind. Our boy instantly turns into a massive simp with heart eyes and his tongue hanging out like a dog. He drools while plotting to sneak a spicy peek at her, internally begging for her to just turn around. After practically screaming in his own head, the blonde finally turns around to face his direction. Instead of a baddie, it is a horrifying old man with a gray beard staring right back at him. Bro, in this situation, instead of getting a win, you're gonna have to take a massive BBC, fro. Anyways, our hero is so traumatized by this hairy jump scare that he literally shoots a fountain of blood straight from his nose. And just like that, he ends up sprawled on his bed, completely drained. He quietly mumbles that he wants to test the full limits of his new eye powers. Suddenly, a masked nurse walks into the room and ruthlessly ruins the vibe by demanding his family pay the hospital bills. At this moment, his sister immediately pulls out cash to pay the masked nurse. The nurse grabs the money and tells them he is totally fine to leave. The scene casually drifts downward, lingering on their legs and heels, proving the author knows exactly what we want. Yuhan clenches his fist, swearing to use his new eye powers to give his sister a better life. Later outside, our boy tells her he has to run some errands and walks away while she tells him to hurry back. Our hero hits the busy city streets and wondering how to turn his vision into cold hard cash. Suddenly, he gets an idea and peeks down a noisy alleyway where a massive crowd of dudes is screaming over a dice table. At the center, a girl shakes the dice cup, but the crowd's attention is definitely not on the game. She tells everyone to place their bets while secretly thinking these fools are about to hand over all their money. A high bunch of sweaty guys start throwing hundreds on the table, blindly guessing big or small like total degenerates. Johan walks up to the table, amazed at all the cash, and decides to put his glowing blue eyes to work. His vision cuts straight through the cup, clearly seeing the dice sitting on a 2, 3, and 4. He does quick math in his head, realizing it adds up to 9, which means the dealer easily wins this round. The baddie lifts the cup and yells small, raking in the cash, while you broke boys watching this probably lose money just as fast. The girl suddenly locks eyes with Yahan and asks the handsome newcomer if he wants to play a round while leaning over to show off the goods. Our guy completely ignores the dice and points a finger straight at her, openly roasting her for having her heavy machinery on full display. She nervously blushing and making a lame excuse about humanity being exposed instead of her. Behind her cute face, evil shadow demons pop up in her mind, celebrating another clueless simp coming to hand her free cash. She shoots him a wicked smirk, asking if he wants to spin, and he smiles back, promising to make her regret inviting him. She raises her arm high and violently shakes the cup again, yelling for the loud crowd to place their new bets. The desperate guys instantly throwing hundreds and thousands blindly on big or small. Yui Han immediately fires up his glowing blue X-ray eyes again just as she slams the heavy cup back down onto the wood. The dice rattle around inside and she holds the cup tight against her chest, looking straight at our boy and asking what he wants to tap. Ye Han completely ruins the heavy tension by casually tossing a single $10 bet on Big Sess, a blue-haired baddie, stares at his tiny bet and instantly calls him a massive cheapskate in her head. She lifts the black cup, revealing a 4, 5, and 6, happily thanking the fellas while raking in everyone else's hard-earned cash. She hands Ye Han his small winnings and our boy realizes this game is basically a free money glitch. He smirks at his cash, literally imagining himself as a big bad wolf ready to eat this naive little rabbit alive. We get a fast montage of this girl violently shaking her dice cup while Yui Han casually uses his X-ray hacks to win. Half an hour later, the baddie slams the cup down, but Yui Han is already holding a massive stack of money. He asks where the rest of his money is while the entire crowd of broke boys loses their minds over his insane luck. He flexes his fat stacks, bragging that he just made a whole month's salary in 30 minutes. The baddie is absolutely fuming, glaring holes into him and swearing that if he keeps playing, he is not leaving this alley alive. Yui Han just laughs in her face, playfully asking if the pretty girl is too scared to take any more bets. She completely loses it, slamming her hand on the table and getting right up in his personal space. She demands to know why he keeps copying her big bets. Our guy turns red, staring right at her heavy machinery and saying he is done betting, but she is definitely huge. She grabs him by the collar in pure rage, screaming that he stole all her cash and is forced to keep playing. Yui Han fake coughs to play it cool and asks what exactly she wants to wager for this final round. She points straight at him, demanding the loser hands over absolutely every single dollar they have. He raises an eyebrow and boldly asks what happens if she ends up losing. She hits him with a blushing bedroom gaze, promising that if she loses, he gets to have a piece of her. Our boy instantly turns into a drooling simp while the background crowd cheers like they just won the lottery. She snaps back to reality, giving him a wicked smirk and daring him to step up if he isn't a total coward. They lock eyes, both promising the other is going to heavily regret this little showdown. The baddie closes her eyes, gets dead serious, and uses her fingers to gracefully sweep the dice right off the wood as she catches them mid-air. The blue-haired baddie completely flexes on our boy by whipping out some over-the-top technique called the 1,000-hand resonance. The sweaty crowd absolutely loses their minds over her strong pose, screaming that they would have literally wet their pants if they knew she could do that. She hits Yu Han, asking if he is totally shocked by her ancient trick. Meanwhile, this menace is just casually counting his stacks of hundreds, completely ignoring her flashy performance. She snaps at him to focus on the game, but Yu Han just calls her a wimpy chick right to her face. The baddie gets insanely triggered, calling him a bastard before slamming the cup down with so much force that a massive dust cloud explodes everywhere. Standing proudly in the smoke, she giggles and tells him he is totally finished. Ye Han just stares blankly at her dramatic pose and calls it real fancy. She leans in close, putting two massive reasons to listen right in his face and whispers to ask if he chooses big or small. She secretly thinks she already won because the dice are still spinning silently inside the cup. But Ye Han immediately steps up and grabs her hand hard, pinning the cup down so the dice are forced to completely stop. He looks right into her eyes and boldly calls out 3 6s. The baddie instantly panics, realizing this guy totally saw through her dirty little scam. He casually lifts the black cup himself, revealing exactly 3 6s. The crowd goes feral, screaming that this is pure magic, and bowing down to Ye Han like he is the new gambling god. He celebrates his massive win while the baddie quietly tries to sneak away from the table like a total snake. Yui Han immediately stops her, asking exactly what piece of her he gets to claim right now. She turns around sweating, putting on a fake cute face and asking what her big bro wants to do. Our boy instantly turns into a drooling simp with heart eyes, ready to negotiate some spicy rewards. Right before he makes a move, she points straight up and screams about a flying saucer. Ye Han and the entire brainless crowd actually look up, giving her the perfect chance to run away laughing at these absolute idiots. He fires up his glowing blue eye, realizing he just got played, and sprints after her, demanding his hard-earned cash. Ye Han sprints down an empty outdoor hallway, hunting for his stolen cash. He stops, smirking like a complete villain, knowing perfectly well his X-ray hacks make hiding completely useless. The focus moves inside, where the purple-haired baddie collapses on the floor, panting hard as she celebrates her narrow escape. Suddenly, Yui Han's glowing head pops up right behind her shoulder, giving her a massive jump scare. She screams about seeing a ghost and violently falls back, basically handing herself right over to him. He immediately pins her from behind, demanding his stacks back while pressing right up against her. She turns into an angry chibi, wildly flailing her arms and refusing to give up her hard-earned scam money. He threatens to get hands-on with her since she wants to act tough, but a voice suddenly interrupts them. A dark-haired guy rolls in on a creaking wheelchair, surrounded by glowing blue skulls. This dude is sitting there peacefully smiling while emitting boss-level death aura. Yui Han totally loses his cool, screaming at the ghostly jump scare while wondering who this creepy guy is. He uses his magic eyes and realizes this dude's body is loaded with evil spirits and his hands are dripping with fresh blood. The guy calmly introduces himself as the baddie's older brother and asks what drama she caused this time. The sister immediately hides behind the wheelchair, pointing her twin cannons at Yui Han and accusing him of scamming her instead. Yui Han points right back, telling her to drop the fake innocent act and hand over his bills. The baddie just hits him with a devilish smirk, tapping her cheek and begging him to come hit her. Our boy violently rolls up his sleeve saying he respects women, but she is definitely catching these hands today. They start screaming hardcore censored curses at each other right in the middle of the living room. The brother finally gets sick of the noise, making a terrifying dark face before violently slamming his hand down. The sister flips Yehan off thinking her bro is about to attack, but instead the brother backhands her straight to the floor. She completely eats dirt, landing flat on her face before sitting up with tears in her eyes. Holding her red cheek, she cries and asks her own brother why he just laid her out like that. He yells at her for gambling again, asking if she forgot how his legs got permanently crippled. She breaks down sobbing on the floor, confessing she was only running dirty scams to pay for his massive medical bills. She cries that she just wants to fix his legs, leaving her brother sitting there clenching his fists in heavy silence. Yui Han stares at the crippled brother and instantly wonders how this dude actually broke his legs. He fires up his glowing red eye power to use his X-ray hacks on the guy's lower body. His vision cuts straight through skin and bones, spotting severed muscles and some random junk stuck inside the leg. Both the brother and the sister gasp in pure shock when they realize Yui Han is basically a walking MRI machine. The brother nervously asks if our boy can actually see the exact damage hiding inside his broken legs. She calls him a stinky boy and begs to heal her brother, which instantly irritates our hero. Then she instantly presses her massive assets right up against his arm and calls him handsome. She walks away looking like a whole meal, promising that if he fixes the legs, she is entirely his. Yui says that against someone like you, she'll just take it from your hands herself. Our guy throws his hands up and totally lies, saying he actually lacks the power to cure him. He thinks to himself that using his secret healing skills will completely expose his magic hacks to these random strangers. Suddenly, the brother begs him to wait, proposing a dirty little transaction instead. Yembo-han raises a brow, wondering what kind of sketchy deal is this. The brother suddenly reveals himself as a top dog known as the Southwest King. The brother hangs his head in pure depression while Yui Han wonders how a massive legend ended up stuck in a wheelchair. The sister starts crying and blushing, trying to explain what happened that year, but the brother coughs to silence his sister and turns back to ask Yui Han for his real medical opinion. Our boy thinks he can only see the damage but honestly has zero clue how to fix it. Suddenly, glowing blue text surrounds him as his magical green jade pendant starts downloading ancient medical files directly into his brain. He quickly realizes his magic necklace actually holds 2 secret Ghost Valley medical journals that teach elite healing techniques. The sister gets right up in his personal space, angrily demanding to know if he can cure her brother or not. The depressed brother tells her to give up, saying even the top doctors back then completely failed to fix his busted legs. Our boy just smiles and smoothly says that he can absolutely cure him. The siblings scream in pure disbelief, and Yui Han says he just needs a little time to prepare. The brother strongly plans to work with Yui Han for 3 full years if he succeeds. Immediately, Yui absolutely loses her mind and violently tackles Yui Han into a massive breathless hug to say thanks. She presses her assets right against him and his brain immediately malfunctions again. Later, Yahan walks alone, reminding himself of his promise to help others cure their diseases. He forgot to ask for payment and now it feels awkward to bring it up. A tiny devil version of him pops up to aggressively roast him for pretending to be a good guy when he is actually flat broke. Suddenly, he spots a massive gate screaming about a crazy clearance sale on ancient vases for only $3 grand. He bolts right into the crowded street, hyped to score a massive deal. Switching focus to the noisy market, a sneaky silver-haired grandpa is chilling on a stool completely surrounded by absolute junk. The thirsty crowd is begging for prices on old copper bells while this bozo drops a ridiculous price tag. Yuhan fires up his glowing X-ray eyes to scan the merchandise, and immediately catches the scam in Ultra HD. He scoffs in pure disgust, realizing this old dude actually thinks everyone on this street is totally brainless. Just as Yue Han is about to dip out, a famous bald elder rolls up with a spicy pink-haired baddie. The useless NPCs in the background start glazing this guy, calling him a legendary appraiser who literally never misses. The baddie asks why they are slumming it in this cheap market, giving us an overall look at her massive personality. The bald dude points at a specific porcelain vase, and Johan's magic eye instantly flashes red with a serious warning. The scammer happily hands the heavy vase over to the elder so he can get a real good feel of it. The bald elder checks the bottom and just grunts like he is totally unimpressed with the dirty goods. The pink baddie leans over and boldly claims the vase is totally fake garbage. The elder completely agrees and hands it back, causing the entire crowd of sheep to immediately lose interest and walk away. The scammer begs them to stay, but the hype is totally dead and everyone starts packing up to leave. Right as the old man and the baddie turn their backs, Yui-han violently screams out that he wants to buy it. The bald guy and the baddie snap their necks back in pure shock at this random broke boy speaking up. Yui-han confidently hands over a fat stack of cash to the scammer, completely ignoring all the massive red flags. The scammer snatches the money and literally vanishes into thin air, secretly laughing his head off at this massive idiot. The entire crowd violently roasts Yui-han, calling him a total clown for buying junk. The expert just completely rejected. The pink baddie calls him a moron, but Yui-han flexes the vase and smirks that he knows the real deal, making her completely lose her mind. The bald elder and the pink-haired baddie stare at Yui-han, demanding to know how this kid can tell the broken porcelain is real. Yui-han casually tells them he only has 2 simple points to correct today. First, he flexes that the vase is not actually broken, and second, it is absolutely the real deal. The crowd of useless onlookers bursts into loud laughter, ruthlessly roasting our boy and calling him totally delusional. The old man acts all wise, telling Yui-han to calm his childish anger and go train his eyes before speaking. Yui-han completely ignores the hate, telling everyone to open their eyes wide while pouring water straight over the vase. The water washes away the crusty mud, revealing a perfectly intact and glowing blue pattern underneath the dirt. The pink baddie and the bald expert gasp in pure shock, completely unable to believe they just missed a massive treasure. Yui-han explains that the fake cracks were literally just hard dirt stuck from when it got dug up. The elder immediately switches up to praise his eyesight while the crowd suddenly glazes him, realizing this junk is worth millions. The tiny chibi version of Yui-han flexes hard in his mind, knowing his magic X-ray vision completely carries him against these basic humans. The pink baddie gets insanely triggered, screaming that he cannot just magically declare it real. Yui-han hits her with a confident smirk and smoothly challenges her to a high-stakes bet to see who is actually right. She instantly agrees to take it to a real professional, demanding to know the penalty if he loses. Our boy leans in close with a filthy smile, proposing that if he wins, he gets to take her thick body for a wild ride. The pink baddie turns red but quickly fires back, demanding a full year of his salary if the vase turns out to be fake. They violently high-five to lock in the spicy deal while the bald elder quietly realizes this young guy might actually be powerful. Switching locations, the elder leads them straight down the street to a massive fancy building called the Bright Moon Pavilion. A manager instantly runs out to greet his VIP customers, completely ignoring Yui-han to welcome the baddie inside. The crew moves into a fancy private room and sits down on expensive chairs while the bald elder asks the manager for a professional appraisal. The pink baddie points her finger at Yui-han, complaining that this random boy bet against her grandpa's flawless skills. The purple-haired boss just laughs it off, totally glazing the elder and claiming that if Zhu called it fake, there is nothing to check. Yui-han immediately calls the manager out for being a total glazer instead of actually doing his job like a real boss. The manager finally grabs the blue vase, but suddenly squints hard at Yui-han, asking if this is his very first time on one street. Our hero totally ready to expose this fake expert and claim his spicy reward. The manager arrogantly tells Yui-han that he has seen plenty of broke boys acting smart in his shop. Our guy is not taking any disrespect and instantly turns his back to walk right out the door. He tells the manager he will easily find someone else to check his massive package instead. The manager suddenly stands up and points to a massive wooden shelf loaded with expensive ancient junk. He drops a heavy challenge, claiming exactly 3 fakes are hiding on the shelves right now. He promises that if Yui-han finds just one, he will appraise his vase for free and pay him fat stacks. A tiny chibi Yehan pops up holding toilet paper, absolutely laughing that this challenge is basically a free handout. Our boy steps right up, ready to completely violate this guy's entire career. The bald elder steps in, asking if an hour is enough time to scan the massive collection. Yehan confidently declares he only needs 1 minute. The manager bursts into loud laughter, violently roasting Yehan for looking down on his premium business. Before the manager can even finish his trash talk, Yehan violently slams his hand down on the table. He casually points out 3 items instantly, leaving the manager sweating buckets and completely questioning his own reality. Our hero instantly exposes the trash, proving the pearls are sand and the statues are literally superglued together. The manager stands there completely paralyzed, wondering how this random kid instantly beat his elite international security checks. Yehan suddenly pulls out a white ball, claiming there is actually a 4th fake hiding inside the shop. The manager absolutely loses his mind, screaming that this is the most expensive treasure in the entire building. Yehan just smirks, raises his arm way up high, and violently smashes the precious family jewels right into the floor. The bald elder and the baddie scream in pure terror as the ball completely shatters into tiny pieces. A little copper ball rolls right out of the broken glass, proving the expensive pearl was an absolute scam. The bald elder picks it up totally stunned while Yui-han crosses his arms and asks if he is smart enough now. The arrogant manager instantly folds like a cheap lawn chair, bowing deeply and desperately begging for his master's forgiveness. Yui-han flexes his massive ego while the manager politely begs him to step into the VIP room for his appraisal. Back inside the VIP room, Ye-han sits comfortably while the pink baddie glares right at him. A random appraiser walks up to the manager and confirms the vase is absolutely real. The expert claims the junk is worth over $1 million on the market. The manager dismisses his worker and personally hands the vase right back to our boy. Ye-han drops a massive smirk and points at the pink baddie, casually reminding her exactly who just won their spicy bet. The pink baddie gets insanely triggered, aggressively pulling out a bank card while confessing the password and handing over $2 whole million. The bald grandpa starts violently laughing out loud, finding it absolutely hilarious that this broke boy just scored a massive bag. But suddenly, the old man stops laughing, grabbing his chest in pure agony before violently collapsing straight onto the floor. The pink baddie instantly drops to her knees, violently grabbing the old man and begging him not to ignore her. The panicked manager screams for someone to call an ambulance. The dying grandpa weakly gasps her name right before his old hand goes completely limp and hits the floor. She completely breaks down and begging him not to die. The manager absolutely loses his mind, realizing his entire premium business is totally finished if this legend kicks the bucket here. Ye-han steps up looking like a total boss, telling everyone to step aside so he can check the real damage. He instantly fires up his glowing magic eye, running a full-body scan on the old man without needing any doctor tools. His X-ray hacks clearly show the grandpa's heart is completely jammed up with a massive blockage. Suddenly, a worker bursts through the door, screaming that the escape vehicle is finally ready to roll out. The manager instantly scoops the bald elder up bridal style, yelling that they need to speed to the hospital right now. Before the manager can even take a single step, Ye-han stands right in his way and blocks the exit. Our boy bluntly states that if they carry him outside right now, the old man is absolutely going to die. The manager screams right in his face, aggressively blaming Ye-han for causing this entire massive heart attack. Yui-han casually mentions his secret medical skills, boldly offering to fix the old guy right on the spot. Yui suddenly speaks up holding her chest, demanding they let him try because she completely trusts his hands. Yui-han completely locks in and summons the ancient Ghost Valley doctor spirit right behind his back. The massive blue ghost of an old doctor flashes on screen with a giant glowing acupuncture needle. Our boy starts violently jabbing his fingers into the old man's chest to hit magic pressure points. The manager and Yuna stand there completely stunned by his insane fingering skills. Yui-han finishes his wild finger action with a glowing blue energy punch straight into the chest. He completely collapses into a chair, sweating hard and panting like he just done a hand job. A little time skips forward and the pink baddie nervously asks if her grandpa will actually wake up. Our boy looks totally drained and says he pushed his limits, so the rest is up to him. Suddenly, the bald grandpa coughs and opens his eyes, asking why his granddaughter is crying. Everyone in the room completely loses their minds in pure shock that the dead guy is actually speaking. Yuna violently tackles her grandpa into a massive hug, but let's be honest, your eyes are glued straight to her bun shop. The old man stands right up, holding Yui-han's hands and completely glazing him for clearing his chest. The manager watches them closely, realizing this random kid just beat top-tier international medical doctors. He immediately bows down in front of our boy, dropping a huge request to save his own father. A tiny devil Yui-han pops up, whispering that linking up with these rich families means massive profits. The manager begs him to fix his dad's permanent headache since nobody else can handle the heavy job. Yui-han rubs his chin, secretly knowing he needs more time to master his new medical hacks. He raises a finger, telling the rich boss to give him exactly 1 month to get fully prepared. The manager happily calls him family, and our boy instantly acts sweet by telling him to drop formalities. The manager invites everyone out for drinks. Meanwhile, in a glowing city nightlife, we hit up a super fancy dinner table loaded with premium food. Our boy, grandpa, and the manager clink their glasses together to celebrate their fresh partnership. Our boy is living the high life right now, but he smoothly asks to be excused for a quick second. The scene instantly shifts to the massive luxury hotel lobby where Yui-han is casually strolling and checking his phone. He thinks about texting his sister so she does not panic. Suddenly, his eyes lock onto a spicy situation across the lobby, spotting Yuna getting heavily cornered. A goofy creep is trapping her against the wall with a cheap red rose stuck between his teeth. This absolute bozo tries to spit maximum riz, telling her she looks extra beautiful. The baddie gets insanely triggered, screaming at him that she already has a boyfriend just to shake him off. But the creep just drops a wicked smirk, flexing that he did background checks and knows her single status. That creep was totally planning to get handsy with Yuna's figure, but suddenly our boy steps in and grabs his wrist. When the thug snaps, "Who the hell are you?" Yui-han just casually twists his arm. The guy starts squealing in pain, begging him to let go, but our hero just yeets him straight into the wall, making him scream all over again. Instantly, Yuna realizes this is her golden ticket to get close. She clings right onto him and drops the act to "Your girlfriend was getting harassed and you're only showing up now." Both boys are left speechless, but Yui-han's pervert brain kicks in, Taking full advantage of the situation, he pulls Yuna even closer and smoothly asks, "Did you miss me?" Regardless, seeing this act, that creep is burning with absolute jealousy. He completely loses his mind and launches a flying jump kick straight at Yui Han, screaming about death. The pink baddie panics hard, violently shouting for our boy to watch his back. Yui Han just fires up his glowing red eye hack, then drops a brutal kick right into the creep's chest, screaming that he is sending this clown straight to his dead grandpa. The baddie watches in pure awe. The absolute bozo crashes onto his back, totally knocked out from taking just one single hit from our hero. Yui Han stands there looking like an absolute Chad, secretly flexing that his new magical drunken fist makes regular thugs completely useless. Yui Han wastes absolutely no time, immediately grabs her peaches like a dumb Shinchan. He smoothly pulls her away from the trash, telling her to ignore the little gangster while the creep swears brutal revenge from the floor. Over in a hotel hallway, Yui Han and Yuna are casually strolling together. She is completely latched onto his arm like a total clingy girlfriend. She tugs his shirt and smoothly asks if he has grabbed enough. He immediately makes a lame excuse that he was only acting to make their fake relationship look super realistic. She huffs and struts away down the hall. Yui Han catching a wicked smile while remembering exactly how her thick waist felt. The baddie suddenly screams his name down the hall, instantly snapping him out of his dirty little daydream. She hits him with the ultimate bedroom gaze and promising to take him somewhere incredibly exciting to play. Our boy's brain instantly melts into the gutter, straight up imagining her stepping on his back with a black leather whip like a total queen. He turns into a complete drooling simp, blushing hard and internally screaming that he is ready for this spicy mommy action. The scene shifts to the bright and busy city streets right outside a massive building. Yui Han stares up at the giant jade market sign, completely disappointed that his spicy bedroom dreams were a total lie. Yuna yanks his arm to drag him inside, hyping up the raw thrill of gambling on super expensive shiny rocks. Yui Han drags his feet, sweating bullets, mentally complaining that he is way too drained from last night's practice to deal with this drama. They finally stop inside a shop loaded with rocks, boasting absolutely ridiculous price tags like thousands of grand. A random dude and an old lady instantly rush up to the baddie. They loudly praise her for scoring a premium ice jade last time, treating her like absolute royalty, while she just laughs it off. Yui Han watches her flex and instantly realizes this sneaky chick only brought him here to test his magical X-ray eyes. Suddenly, the useless bystanders start gossiping, claiming she only got lucky before because her legendary grandpa totally carried her. Right on cue, an old man struts into the room. The brainless crowd instantly hypes up, calling him Master Wong, and praising his top-tier poison spicy eyes. Yui Han leans into the baddie, whispering to ask why this angry old man looks ready to shoot up the place. She whispers back that this guy runs a rival jade company, and constantly pulls up just to steal her hard-earned resources. The bald menace boldly challenges her for a competition to see who picks the best rock. She sweats nervously, knowing she is totally outmatched without her grandpa, but Yui Han instantly steps up and violently accepts the challenge like an absolute boss. The noisy crowd instantly starts gossiping, wondering who this random kid is and predicting his absolute downfall against Master Wong. Yui Han starts sweating, but Yuna suddenly yanks his arm and pulls him close, pressing right up against him. She proudly announces to the entire room that this broke boy is actually her official boyfriend and the future son-in-law, ready to tap the family wealth. The NPCs completely lose their minds, crying real tears that their thick goddess got snatched up by some random street kid. Master Wong totally agrees to let Yui Han play for her family. He reveals his master plan, demanding the keys to her family's prime city center shop if they lose this spicy little game. The crowd gasps, whispering that the bald hater is going for a total killer move to completely wipe her family out. Yui Han just crosses his arms like a massive Chad and smoothly asks what the old man is putting up when he inevitably takes a fat lull. Master Wong throws his head back and laughs like an absolute maniac, claiming he literally cannot lose unless her legendary grandpa steps up. The bald menace promises that if he actually loses, he will literally bark like a dog 3 times and hand over his shop's most premium jade. He violently roasts our boy for being a hairless kid, but Yui Han just hits the Yuna with a cheeky smile. He promises his absolute vision is going to easily secure the bag, confidently accepting the wild challenge while she sweats bullets. Switching focus to the massive shelves, the bald bozo turns his back and struts off to start hunting for the best rocks. Yui Han instantly bolts down the aisles like a hyped-up kid, quickly slapping his hands on random overpriced stones. He picks up a completely basic green rock and acts cute, asking his fake girlfriend how much cash he just scored. But Yuna literally spits blood in pure shock while the thirsty crowd violently roasts this trash son-in-law for being a complete clown. She turns into a raging chibi, yelling at him to think properly and explaining that top-tier jade needs glass-like clarity. Yui Han instantly fires up his glowing blue magic eyes, scanning the entire room and cutting straight through every solid rock on the shelves. He locks onto a crusty, cracked boulder sitting in the corner, and confidently declares it the absolute winner. The baddie hits the back of his head and screams that he bought a $500 piece of garbage that looks completely lifeless. Back at the stone arena, 3 NPCs stand nearby, openly ridiculing Yui Han for his lack of understanding about jade. On the opposite side, Wang approaches Yui Han and informs him that his selected stone has been finalized, and it's time to begin the cutting process. Before Yui Han can proceed, Yuna intervenes, urging him to reconsider their decision and switch the stone. Yui Han, however, remains composed and assures her that even if they end up losing, he will take full responsibility for the outcome. Yuna, growing increasingly frustrated, warns that a loss would mean losing everything they've worked for. Nearby, Wang taunts Yui Han, dismissing his confidence and pushing him to give up, insisting he is only wasting time. He, unfazed, firmly states that the one who will fail is not him but his opponent. Meanwhile, Master Wang oversees preparations as his team reports that all equipment is ready. He stresses caution, revealing the immense value hidden within the stone, estimated at around 105 million. His crew responds with full confidence, assuring him that their tools and expertise are more than sufficient for the job. Back at the cutting table where Master Wang's crew is going full try-hard to secure the bag, 3 sweaty workers violently drill into his premium rock using high-tensile knives and heavy gas-powered chisels. The rock instantly starts glowing a blinding yellow like a massive legendary loot box finally cracking open. Yuna points her finger, desperately ordering her own team to start cutting Yui Han's ugly rock next. She instantly turns into an angry, screaming chibi, violently roasting them for bringing basic hardware tools to a luxury gem shop. The workers just shrug, casually saying the ugly stone is totally empty anyway, so they might as well smash it fast. Yui Han steps up, looking completely unbothered, demanding they hand over the heavy tools so he can just handle his own package. However, Yuna glares at him, mentally crying that this whole embarrassing situation is an absolute nightmare. The hating crowd immediately starts yapping again, mocking our boy for refusing to fold and calling his effort a massive waste of time. Yui Han completely ignores the losers, grabs the heavy metal axe and casually gets ready to chop his crusty boulder. Yuna totally gives up on life, holding her forehead and crying that she has to call her grandpa to save them. Suddenly, a massive green light explodes from the other side of the crowded room to steal the spotlight. The crowd goes completely feral, screaming that a premium ice-clear jade just dropped right out of Master Wang's rock. Wang laughs like an absolute villain and ordering his boys to keep cutting to secure his massive flex. A worker in shade screams that the rock is fully opened, revealing a giant, flawless green gem sitting perfectly on the wood. The thirsty crowd violently starts throwing their cash, blindly bidding 20 to 35 million for the premium shiny rock. Master Wang hits them with a smug smile, telling the desperate sheep to completely calm down and hold their money. He points his dirty finger right at Yui Han, telling the crowd to wait until the broke kid finishes so they can loudly laugh at his ridiculous axe. Yuan totally panics, asking how our boy plans to open the rock with a literal lumberjack axe, but Yui Han uses his X-ray vision and flexing that he is just looking for the soft spot to crack it without scratching the goods. Master Wang aggressively mocks him that the kid acts like he has X-ray vision. Meanwhile, a chibi Yui Han secretly laughs because he can literally see straight through the entire stone. Yui Han violently swings the massive axe down with raw power, perfectly cracking the ugly boulder wide open. Instantly, an insanely bright light explodes from the table. Master Wang violently covers his eyes, totally shook by the flashing high beams hitting him right in the face. The thirsty crowd desperately tries to block the piercing glow while crying about the sudden flashbang. As the dust settles, Yuna screams in pure joy that the massive green package finally came out. Our boy casually holds a glowing jade in his hand and drops a wicked smirk, telling the old man he easily won. The crowd absolutely loses their minds, screaming that Yui Han's rock is totally flawless and makes Wang's prize look like absolute dirt. Master Wang gets insanely triggered, accusing our boy for using illegal cheat codes. Yui Han just scoffs at the bald hater, asking if he actually thinks a cheat exists for cracking random stones. Our boy completely locks in, grabbing the axe and violently spinning it. He lines up a massive row of uncut rocks, screaming for everyone to watch the real show. With a brutal swing, he slams the axe down on the first rock, instantly exploding it to reveal another premium green jade. The useless crowd completely panics, screaming their lungs out as another green gem hits the wood. Yui Han swings again, smashing the next rock and exposing even more heavy green treasure, while the NPCs basically foam at the mouth. Our boy literally jumps straight into the air, launching a crazy zigzag/combo to break every single rock. The crowd holds their heads, screaming that every single rock dropped premium jade. Master Wang stands there completely paralyzed while she violently glazes Yui Han for being an absolute chad. The 3 sweaty workers instantly drop to their knees and violently bow their heads straight to the floor. They beg Yui Han to take them as disciples, realizing his raw axe skills completely expose their own boss as a total fraud. Master Wang stomps over, looking absolutely furious, screaming at our boy while his fragile ego shatters into a million pieces. Yui Han totally ignores the hater, casually pointing at Wang's shiny rock and asking the Yuna exactly what it is worth. She checks the rock and proudly announces the bald guy's premium prize is only sitting at around 35 million. The desperate crowd completely loses their minds, violently waving fat stacks of cash to bid on Yui Han's massive flawless jades. The rich NPCs start screaming out insane numbers, instantly jumping from 50 million straight up to 250 million. Master Wang starts sweating bullets, desperately begging a random guy in a suit named Boss Joe to help him out with a bid. Boss Joe looks at this bald clown and violently slaps him right across the face, screaming at him to go cry to his mommy. The massive hit sends Wong completely flying, eating the hard floor, while Boss Joe curses him out for dragging his reputation down. Master Wong holds his stinging cheek and realizes his entire career is completely cooked, secretly plotting to just run away. He tries to sneak out the back, quietly swearing he will violently crush Yui Han the next time they cross paths. Suddenly, our boy uses his magic blue aura to teleport right in front of him, violently slamming his heavy axe straight into the wall. The massive blade lands exactly 1 inch away from the old man's bald head, scaring the absolute life right out of him. Yui Han demands he pay his debt, and the old hater literally drops to his knees crying and barking like a total basic dog. The Thurman points straight at the exit, boldly warning this old mutt to never mess with his Yuna's family again or he will be finished. Master Wong literally crawls out the door on his hands and knees with a fake dog tail wagging, while the entire crowd points and laughs. Our boy suddenly smacks his own forehead, completely realizing he totally forgot to claim the old man's expensive properties from the bet. The Yuna tells him to chill, confidently saying nobody in the city dares to hold back money from her powerful family. Yui Han smoothly leans in real close, asking if they need to get married tonight since he is basically part of the family now. The Yuna's face turns completely red, violently pushing his chest away and screaming at him to stop talking absolute nonsense. The thirsty crowd violently swarms our boy again, desperately throwing massive cash offers just to get a small piece of his green package. One greasy guy steps up and tries to bribe Yui Han by promising a private night with a whole group of spicy foreign ladies. Yui Han instantly turns into a massive simp with giant heart eyes, completely drooling while dreaming about foreign ladies in bikinis. Suddenly, a terrifying dark aura completely surrounds the Yuna behind him, forcing our boy to quickly reject the girls to save his own life. Yuna completely ignores the salty crowd, stares deep into Yui Han's eyes and sweetly thanks him before planting a kiss right on his cheek. Yui Han's brain instantly blue-screened. The poor guy had been handling his sword alone for years, and this sudden soft contact overloaded his entire system. His face exploded into crimson as a thick, violent fountain of blood shot straight out of his nose like a broken fire hydrant. The broke NPCs in the background cover their eyes, crying that this random kid gets the fat stacks and the absolute goddess. One hater violently curses that he cannot stand watching this absolute dog water romance play out right in front of him. Yui Han completely ignores the miserable haters, staring at his bank card while drooling over a total profit of 3 whole billion. He happily flexes that he finally secured the ultimate bag and can officially pull his cute sister completely out of the struggle. The Yuna Juma violently ruins his victory lap, telling him to stop giggling like a complete weirdo, because they need to dip out fast. She tightly grabs his wrist and violently drags him down the hallway, sprinting away while our boy loudly screams for her to slow down her wild riding speed. Later, a slick red car completely speeding down a curvy empty road right outside the main city. Yui Han nervously sits in the passenger seat, asking if they should have called her powerful grandpa for heavy backup just in case. The Yuna smoothly turns the wheel, confidently flexing that this specific route is totally safe from any underground street drama. Out of nowhere, a Mitsubishi violently swerves into their lane and brutally cuts them off, forcing her to slam the brakes. The tires violently screech as the red car drifts into a massive cloud of smoke, barely avoiding a totally fatal crash. Yuna warns Yui Han that this sudden ambush feels super shady. At that moment, 4 random street thugs slowly step out of the dusty gold car, and our boy breathes a huge sigh of relief, thinking it is just light work. The Yuna immediately calls him a total idiot, warning him that the tiny car has dark-tinted windows for a very sketchy reason. Suddenly, the car doors fly wide open, and an absolute army of angry goons holding heavy metal bats and shiny knives pours right out. Yui Han's jaw literally hits the floor, violently screaming that this sketchy vehicle is a literal clown car, completely bending the laws of physics. The gang parts ways as a familiar red-haired boss steps up to the front, casually flexing that it has been a hot minute. Our boy instantly locks in, firing up a massive glowing aura while recognizing this bozo is the third brother of hatred. Yui Han steps right up to the red-haired boss and casually asks how his back door is healing from their last spicy bamboo encounter. The boss turns bright red, desperately screaming for him to shut his mouth while gripping a cheap metal knife. This absolute clown claims real men use words instead of violence right before threatening to violently snap our boy's legs. However, Yuna sweats nervously, but Yui Han smoothly steps in front of her and tells her to relax while he handles this trash. He fires up a massive blue aura, stepping forward like an absolute raid boss ready to wipe this entire squad of low-level bots. The bozo completely loses his mind and orders his entire army of goons to beat our boy until he is permanently crippled. The thugs aggressively charge forward holding rusty blades and cheap pepper spray, laughing and telling Yui Han to start begging on his knees. Yui Han just drops a wicked smirk, loudly thanking these brainless dummies for offering their bodies so he can practice his new magical energy. His right hand violently explodes with blinding blue light, and he instantly unleashes a massive shockwave that completely deletes the entire gang. The goons literally fly through the sky screaming about monsters and superheroes while getting violently launched into the trees like cheap ragdolls. Meanwhile, Yuna stares at Yue Han with massive heart eyes, totally weak in the knees and praising his absolutely massive raw power. Our boy hits her with a smooth smile claiming it was nothing, completely trying to play it cool for his new thick girlfriend. On the other side, the red-haired boss who is literally crawling on his hands and knees trying to sneak away. This absolute bozo keeps repeating that nobody can see him until his face violently smacks right into the bumper of his own car. He looks up sweating hard and sees Yue Han casually standing there holding the entire heavy metal vehicle straight up in the air. Yue Han drops a terrifying smile and asks exactly where this clown thinks he is going while holding a 2-ton weapon. The boss instantly turns into a chibi, desperately hugging Yue Han's leg and begging for his life like a pathetic dog. At that moment, Yue Han grips the red-haired boss by the collar, throwing him against a massive wall of fire. He screams at the crying clown to spill exactly who sent him for the dirty ambush. The bozo cries his eyes out, confessing that a total menace named Master Feng ordered him to snatch the thick baddie, while Yuna sweats nervously, dropping lore that this Feng guy is an absolute savage from the city streets. The red-haired rat nervously begs to leave, so Yue Han violently kicks him straight into the sky like a football. On the other hand, she looks up at Yue Han and asks what his next big move is going to be. Yue Han fires up his glowing red eye, pointing his finger and totally locking in for a real street fight. He drops a wicked smirk, declaring they need to go pay the top bosses a little spicy surprise visit tonight. After that, our boy stands alone right outside a massive heavy door, totally rethinking his entire crazy life choices. He secretly admits his raw power only works on weak thugs and this new boss might actually completely fold him. Yue Han pushes the heavy wooden doors wide open, stepping right into the quiet medical room. The dark-haired crippled boss Master Zhao is chilling in his wheelchair when our boy rolls up covered in heavy blue energy. Zhao completely loses his mind, violently grabbing Yue Han's arm and screaming about how fast his power just multiplied. Yue Han rubs his head sweating bullets, telling a totally brainless lie about a random street beggar handing him magic pills. Master Zhao stares right through his absolute cap, calling him a massive liar, but smoothly agreeing to keep his dirty little secrets. Yue crippled legend tells Yue Han his magic energy is solid but his physical strokes are still completely weak. Our boy happily claps his hands, begging the wheelchair boss to teach him exactly how to handle that raw physical action. Master Zhao suddenly glows with a massive golden aura, summoning a crazy multi-armed ghost before violently slicing a wooden pot in half. Yue Han totally glazes the destructive move just as a girl violently bursts in holding a massive metal ladle. She screams her lungs out about her ruined plant, forcing a sweating Zhao to awkwardly end the private session early. The scene shifts after 3 days to a loud neon-lit club where a blonde DJ screams into the mic that Lord Zhao is paying for everyone's drinks tonight. The dance floor is totally packed with sweaty NPCs while thick baddies in tiny bikinis bounce around on the main stage. Yue Han is just chilling at the bar holding a fruity little cocktail, completely ignoring the heavy fan service right in front of him. He secretly thinks about the fresh intel he got from Yuna, confirming this noisy club is actually Master Feng's main hideout. Our boy stares deep into his drink, annoyed that this sneaky Feng guy is so good at hiding from the powerful Zhao family. He realizes playing hide-and-seek is for absolute losers, so he decides to force the big boss right out into the open. He drops his fruity drink and grabs a heavy green glass bottle right by its neck like an absolute menace. Strutting across the flashing dance floor, he casually winds his arm back and launches the heavy bottle straight across the room. The green glass violently explodes against a row of arcade machines, immediately ruining the entire vibe and causing absolute chaos. The terrified crowd completely loses their minds, screaming for help and violently scrambling toward the exits like total sheep. In the middle of the panic, 4 massive sweaty thugs in tight tank tops step up and completely surround our boy. These absolute meatheads crack their knuckles, aggressively roasting Yue Han for being brainless enough to start drama in Feng's territory. They drop evil smirks and promise to break his legs, completely unaware they are talking to a literal walking cheat code. Yue Han just calmly crosses his arms like a massive Chad, telling these ugly bottom feeders to go fetch their actual boss. The brainless thugs get insanely triggered by his disrespect, violently cursing at him and promising to send him straight to the graveyard. They aggressively flex their muscles and charge at him all together, thinking this skinny kid is just an easy target for tonight. Yue Han just hits them with a wicked smile, firing up a blinding blue aura around his fists as he totally locks in. He smoothly drops into a low combat stance, heavily flexing that he just unlocked the legendary 5 elemental fists a few days ago. He confidently announces he is going to use these sweaty goons as basic practice dummies to test out his fresh new combo. Yue Han completely unleashes his new elemental fist combo, launching strike punches and freeze attacks straight into these sweaty meatheads. He slaps the absolute soul out of these goons, sending all 10 of them flying through the air like completely broken toys. Our boy casually dusts his hands off, heavily flexing that it barely took a second to clear out the local trash. A random NPC in the crowd loses his mind, screaming that Yue Han must be a legendary martial arts master to solo an entire squad. Another hater immediately yaps back, Claiming this kid is totally cooked, the second Master Feng finally steps out. Suddenly a heavy voice echoes from the balcony, praising our boy's speed before threatening his entire existence for ruining the club. Yui Han looks straight up and spots a crusty old man leaning over the railing with his bald goons. This fossil is apparently the legendary Master Feng, and he arrogantly promises Yui Han is not walking out alive without a solid apology. Our boy completely ignores the empty threat and aggressively points his finger right back at the boomer. He brutally demands to know exactly who paid this rusty old crew to set up that dirty street ambush 3 days ago. Master Feng suddenly connects the dots, realizing this random kid is the exact same target that some rich bozo named Bai Xiao ordered a hit on. The old man drops a wicked smirk and immediately orders his minions to jump off the balcony and finish the heavy job. The brainless goons literally leap through the air screaming about death, while Feng crosses his arms thinking Yui Han is totally inexperienced. Yui Han just fires up his speed hacks, zipping around the room leaving blue after images while effortlessly dodging every single pathetic strike. Before the dust even completely settles, Yui Han literally teleports right up to the balcony and stands directly in front of the shocked boss. Master Feng instantly starts sweating bullets, realizing this young kid is actually a high-tier inner strength master packing some serious raw power. Yui Han pulls back a glowing blue fist, promising to absolutely end this old man if he refuses to drop the intel right now. Instead of folding and begging for mercy, the crazy fossil violently laughs, claiming he hasn't stretched his old bones in a very long time. Veins start violently bulging all over his crusty old arm. The grandpa suddenly explodes with a blinding fiery yellow aura, literally ripping his shirt right off to reveal a completely jacked muscle body. Our boy starts sweating buckets, mentally cursing his terrible luck as he realizes he actually has to fight this flaming steroid monster. Yui Han and the steroid grandpa violently clash mid-air like an absolute action movie finale. Massive blue and yellow auras completely explode as their fists aggressively connect, screaming about pure murder. The raw shockwave brutally blasts the entire crowd of useless NPCs right off the VIP balcony. The haters literally cry for their mommies while getting launched through the air like a garbage. Yui Han violently crashes back onto the hard floor, panting heavily with blood dripping right from his mouth. He drops straight to one knee looking absolutely cooked while the hiding crowd glazes the old boss. Master Feng stands tall with his massive chest, laughing and roasting our boy for being way too young to win. But suddenly, the crusty boomer violently coughs up blood. His eye totally swells shut and he completely eats dirt. The steroid grandpa hits the ground hard, completely traumatized and wondering how he lost to a random kid. A glowing phantom of Yui Han pops up, flexing that his magic X-ray eyes totally expose the old man's weak spots for a single heavy strike. The brainless thugs in the background immediately panic, realizing their invincible boss just got completely folded. They quietly start moonwalking toward the exit, desperately hoping our boy does not decide to tap their rear ends next. Master Feng lays in a pool of his own blood, violently cursing his awful luck while secretly gripping a heavy metal pistol. Yui Han casually walks up to the bleeding boomer, demanding to confirm if that bad bozo actually ordered the hit. The old rat begs for his miserable life, so Yui Han promises to just permanently cripple his body instead of sending him to the grave. Feng instantly snaps, aggressively pointing his dirty gun right at our boy's face with an absolute evil smile. Right before the bald menace can pull the trigger, a massive gunshot violently echoes through the entire flashing club. A spicy baddie struts in with a smoking gun, having just blasted the absolute life right out of the old man's hand. Master Feng screams in pure agony while dropping his piece, totally ruined by this thick new officer who clearly knows exactly how to handle a heavy weapon. A whole squad of cops violently rushes the room, pointing their guns and demanding everyone freeze before taking them straight to lockup. The thugs from earlier are literally crying their eyes out, bowing deeply to the cops and begging for forgiveness. Yui Han casually chills at the bar until the spicy officer violently steps up right into his personal space. She props her thick thigh on a stool and dangles heavy metal handcuffs, offering to let him completely tie himself up. The scene shifts to a boring interrogation room. Our boy sits there casually yawning like he just woke up from a little nap. She strictly reads his files out loud, dropping heavy lore that he is an orphaned 18-year-old living with his cute sister. Yui Han hits her with a smooth smile, loudly claiming his clean record proves he is totally innocent and needs immediate release. The officer slams both hands on the table and completely exposing her massive heavy machinery. She violently accuses him of putting 30 street thugs into a brutal coma and asks how that counts as basic self-defense. However, who cares about her questions when our boy is entirely focused on looking at those huge answers? He smoothly grabs her wrist with a cheeky smile, casually asking if he was just supposed to stand there and take a beating. But she grabs him right by the collar, demanding to know exactly which underground street gang completely trained his new powers. Yui Han is just drooling with a massive blush, fully busy calculating her total package. The officer finally realizes he is staring straight down her shirt and absolutely loses her mind. Blushing bright red in pure rage, she aggressively curses him out and launches a violent high kick right at his face to completely wipe his dirty smile away. Yui-han easily blocks the heavy strike, so she swings another brutal kick that he smoothly catches right out of the air. Our boy casually holds her thick leg way up high while she desperately struggles and screams for him to go to hell. Yui-han drops a wicked smirk, heavily flirting that an interrogation room is totally the wrong place to test his deep physical skills. Yui-han sits there totally dazed while a massive fountain of blood violently sprays from his nose and his mind. The officer completely loses her mind, literally erupting in a massive fiery aura of pure rage. Our boy waves his hands, sweating bullets, awkwardly trying to calm her down by claiming he totally missed the color of her underwear. She absolutely snaps, screaming for him to shut his dirty mouth before punching him right in the face. She basically rearranges his jaw just to keep her heavy secrets completely safe from his glowing eyes. However, suddenly a random cop bursts through the heavy door, screaming that the corrupt deputy director Zhu just pulled up. He drops massive lore that Zhu is literally letting Master Feng and his entire bald squad walk right out of the station. The spicy officer gasps in pure shock and immediately struts out the door, giving us a perfect view of her massive personality. Yui-han breathes a massive sigh of relief, thinking he is totally saved from catching more hands today. Instead, the random cop violently grabs our boy by the collar and literally drags him out of the room like a completely helpless kitten. Launchierly, on the other hand, right to the bright hallway, a police boss is happily shaking hands with the steroid grandpa. Master Feng smoothly promises to ship some expensive local bribes straight to the boss's house for saving his wrinkly skin. The officer violently steps up to stop them, screaming that they found illegal heavy metal firearms inside that dirty club. Director Zhou immediately defends his rich sugar daddy, totally capping that Fen is a legal businessman and the guns are fully licensed. The fat boss points his greasy finger right at Yui-han, declaring this broke kid is the only real target going behind bars today. The spicy officer argues back, demanding they finish the actual investigation before letting these dangerous street rats go free. Director Zhu gets insanely triggered, violently flexing his rank and screaming at her to follow his strict orders immediately. He orders the guards to throw our boy straight into a cold cell, but Yui-han just drops an absolute villain smirk. Our boy casually tells the boss to think real carefully before making the worst mistake of his miserable life. He slowly holds up his glowing phone screen, flexing a fresh text message demanding his secret heavy backup to pull up right now. Director Zhou completely ignores the threat, aggressively calling Yui-han a total nobody and ordering his men to drag him away for a private session. Two cops violently grab our boy from behind, ready to give him absolute hell in the back room. Suddenly, the officer violently steps right in front of Yui-han, throwing her arms wide open to block the dirty cops. She proudly holds up her own phone, dropping the ultimate reverse Uno card on her greedy boss. She loudly flexes that the top government just emailed her absolute control over the entire case, completely shutting these corrupt bozos down. The spicy officer stands her ground while the fat director Zhou erupts in a massive fiery aura of pure rage. This absolute meatball screams at his own cops, asking if a simple email totally broke their tiny brains. Master Feng just chills in the background, smugly watching his sugar baby throw a massive temper tantrum. Fat Joe violently points his greasy sausage finger right at the spicy officer, aggressively threatening to fire her on the spot. Before he can even finish his barking, a heavy voice from the doorway completely shuts him down, asking exactly who he thinks he is. The boss turns around sweating bullets as three massive VIPs step right into the flashing doorway. The purple-haired Master Lin, a serious older guy named Tang, and our thick baddie all pull up looking like an absolute mafia squad. Yui-han hits them with a massive smile while his goddess happily screams his name, ready to totally claim her man. The useless background NPCs completely lose their minds, violently gossiping that the absolute elite ruling class just rolled into the station. Fat Joe and the steroid grandpa start profusely sweating, realizing their dirty little scam just hit a massive brick wall. Well, the older boss Tang drops a terrifying smile, loudly threatening to crush whoever had the absolute audacity to bully his little bro. Fat Joe immediately turns into a total coward, forcing a fake smile and capping hard about just following the basic law. Master Lin violently points his finger right back, roasting the cop for protecting an underworld rat while locking up an innocent kid. The greasy director desperately tries to save his skin, screaming for hard evidence while claiming his hands are completely clean. Tang just hits him with a wicked smirk, casually whipping out his phone to literally end this bozo's entire career. Tang makes a quick call to his heavy backup, totally ready to drop the ultimate ban hammer on this corrupt clown. Suddenly, a totally new high-ranking official violently kicks the door open, clutching a massive stack of legal documents and screaming in pure anger. This top-tier boss aggressively curses the fat director out, asking if he still wants to deeply inspect that hard evidence. He brutally smashes the entire stack of papers directly into Fat Joe's ugly face, officially announcing a full government investigation for his dirty mob ties. The greedy director completely folds, standing there dizzy and totally cooked while the heavy papers violently rain down on his ruined life. Thol, the corrupt fat director, completely loses his mind, as the new boss orders the guards to totally lock him up. He violently clashes with the steroid grandpa in a massive cartoon dust cloud while the cops physically drag their heavy bodies away. Yui-han crosses his arms and drops a fake innocent act, claiming he is just a little guy who gets bullied every single day. Yuna and the rich bosses violently roast him for being totally shameless while packing massive government backup. Meanwhile, in a glowing city nightlife, the whole crew rolls up to a loud street pub for a massive hot pot dinner. They aggressively slam their giant beer mugs together, loudly cheering to celebrate their total victory over the dirty cops. The older boss Tang drops a huge smile, completely glazing Yui Han and claiming he wanted to be his bro for a hot minute. Master Lin casually points at the baddie, telling our boy she totally pulled heavy family strings to save his skin tonight. However, our hero immediately smoothly claiming they are way too close for basic thank you. She gets insanely triggered and turns bright red, violently pushing his chest away with a massive yellow slap while screaming to back off. The older bosses just loudly laugh at the spicy couple, and the entire table starts violently chugging heavy beers like absolute degenerates. A quick time skip hits, and Yui Han casually holds his drink while literally every single boss is totally passed out flat on the wood. He flexes his glowing aura, secretly realizing his new magic energy makes his body completely immune to getting wasted. Master Lin slowly lifts his bright red face off the messy table, barely staying awake to tell everyone it is totally time to dip. The purple-haired boss violently drags the older guy away, leaving Yui Han completely alone holding the passed-out baddie. Lin throws up a cheeky thumbs up and drops a massive wink, loudly cheering for Yui Han to go properly handle his heavy package tonight. Switching straight to the dark street, Yui Han is desperately carrying the baddie right on his back. Her massive heavy machinery is violently pressing against him, making our boy sweat bullets and complain that it is way too hot. She wildly throws her arms around his neck, acting totally reckless while he begs her to chill out in public. Suddenly her face turns green and a rainbow literally shoots out of her mouth as she gets ready to throw up. Yui Han completely loses his mind, violently cursing and screaming at her not to vomit all over his fresh clothes. The scene quickly shifts to a shady hotel room door, before moving inside where Yui Han finally steps out of a hot shower. He wipes his sweaty face and shorts, completely exhausted from handling this drunk menace. He looks over at the bed and spots the baddie totally passed out in a tight black top and shorts, staring at her thick thighs and red heels. Our boy instantly turns into a massive drooling simp. A tiny half-naked chibi Yui Han pops up, happily screaming that tonight finally loses his pure virginity. So our boy creeps closer to the bed, completely ready to risk it all for a spicy midnight snack. But right as he gets close, the baddie violently rolls over in her sleep and launches a brutal high kick. Her foot connects perfectly with his heavy package, instantly shattering his family jewels like a literal cracked egg. Yui Han's face turns completely gray as he drops to the floor, crying in pure agony, deeply regretting his dirty little thoughts. While he is literally fighting for his life on the carpet, a loud phone starts aggressively ringing. Glide. Yui Han slowly peeks over the table, looking absolutely traumatized, wondering what kind of bozo is calling this late. He checks the screen and realizes it is the steroid grandpa, totally panicking about his missing granddaughter. Still gripping his broken package, our boy kneels by the bed and nervously answers the call. The grandpa happily greets him, completely clueless, and asks to meet up soon for a serious private chat. But suddenly the boomer connects the dots, erupting in pure fiery rage and screaming to know why this kid is answering her phone in the middle of the night. Yui Han grips the pink phone, desperately screaming at the grandpa not to misunderstand the spicy situation. He totally swears on his life that he did not tap the sleeping baddie on the bed. The old boomer just laughs, smoothly giving them his full blessing but warning our boy to deal with her scary dad later. The grandpa casually hangs up the call, leaving Yui Han completely traumatized and wondering why he has to fight a literal father-in-law. Later, in a bright morning, we get a top-down view of the two sleeping miles apart on the giant bed. Our boy is just happily snoozing with a massive blush, literally begging for a sweet treat from the bakery in his dirty dreams. As suddenly, the bakery wakes up and violently screams her lungs out, making Yui Han jump up looking for a total earthquake. Before he can even process the panic, she violently slaps the absolute soul right out of him and calls him a massive jerk. Yui Han holds his cheek, totally confused, while she sits up clutching the blanket and crying fake tears. She accuses him of using her wasted state to finally score a home run and claims her life is totally ruined. Our boy sweats bullets, begging her to chill and swearing he only took off her dirty street clothes. She gets insanely triggered, crying that even if he did not go all the way, he definitely got a premium view of her dairy. Yui Han completely caps to her face, loudly claiming he turned the lights fully off and refused to touch her fresh buns. A ghost version of him pops up sweating, secretly admitting he definitely copped a little spicy feel while she was passed out. She aggressively roasts him for fumbling a free bag, basically calling him totally useless for not taking advantage of the golden opportunity. Our boy eats the floor hard and sits up crying with a swollen face, totally depressed that he can never understand female logic. Then Yui calls the front desk, ordering fresh clothes to room like a total boss. Meanwhile, Yui Han just sits there sweating on the carpet, internally deciding it is definitely time to completely run for his life. Yui Han grips a heavy metal cleaver by the door like he just saw a ghost. A terrifying dark shadow of the baddie instantly pops up right behind his back like a literal demon. He drops the blade, panicking and swearing he was absolutely not thinking about doing anything spicy. The baddie just sits on the bed, crossing her thick thighs, looking like an absolute mafia boss. She drops a heavy rule, brutally ordering our boy to come running like an obedient dog whenever she calls. Yui-han violently sprints out of the hotel room, desperately shouting that he will be on standby just to escape her aura. Our bakery hits a wicked smirk, totally knowing this broke boy can never actually run away from her big mangoes. Switching scenes to the bright street outside, our boy is shivering like a scared chibi, totally stressed about becoming her personal toy. Suddenly, a military jeep violently pulls up and the older boss Tang is chilling right in the driver's seat. Tang drops a cheeky smile, asking if last night was a total drain and offering him magic kidney pills to fix his weak stamina. Yui-han sweats hard, dodging the spicy question and asking where the boss went. Tang casually mentions Lin dipped out, so he offers to drive our boy absolutely anywhere to kill some time. Yui-han immediately tells him to speed straight to his sister's workplace so he can check up on his family. The jeep rolls up to the massive weaving factory gate where two basic security guards are chilling. The guards instantly stand at attention and throw up a stiff salute, completely assuming some top-tier government leader is arriving for a surprise inspection. Our boy casually leans out the heavy jeep window, throwing a lazy wave and praising the stunned guards like an absolute boss. The brainless NPCs instantly recognize him, panicking because Yui-han was supposed to be completely fired for skipping work. Inside the busy factory floor, Yui-han is seen strutting in with Tang right by his side. Sweaty workers immediately warn him that the director totally rejected his time off, and his sister is currently begging for his job. Yui-han drops a wicked smirk, casually telling the useless crowd that he only came back today to officially quit. Yui-han tells Tang the sad lore about how he and his sister grew up grinding in this cheap factory just to survive. He worries the rich boss might laugh at his broke past, but Tang violently shoots that down, proving he is a real one. They stroll straight up to a closed door totally marked for the factory director. When they reach there, Yui-han's sister is sitting helplessly on the floor. You probably assume she's getting ready to offer her boss a special kind of job, but nah, she's actually begging to keep her 9 to 5. The fat director drops an evil grin, aggressively threatening to fire both her and her brother if she screams. He totally tries to corner her like a desperate creep, completely ignoring her tears just to secure a dirty win. Suddenly, the door violently explodes into a million pieces as Yui-han blasts right into the room. Our boy launches himself through the air and lands a brutal flying kick straight into the fat pig's face. The heavy strike completely flattens the boss's nose, sending him into the wall like absolute trash. Yui-han screams that anyone who dares to touch his family is getting an instant one-way ticket to the graveyard. He immediately rushes to his sister's side and gently wraps his jacket over her shoulders. She completely panics, crying that this bozo is going to literally ruin his career for throwing hands at work. Yui-han just hits her with a smooth smile, gently holding her hands and confidently claiming he came here to quit. He softly flexes that he already secured the ultimate bag, meaning she never has to deal with these creeps again. The director picks himself off the floor, his face completely bruised and turning red in pure rage. He wildly screams into his phone, aggressively ordering every single security guard to pull up and violently end this kid. The boss Tang casually steps up behind our hero, loudly laughing that even the massive street gangs totally failed to fold him. He calls these factory goons or nobodies while the sister stares up in pure shock at her brother's new backup. Right on cue, 5 sweaty thugs burst into the room carrying cheap wooden mallets and heavy metal pipes. The bruised director aggressively points his finger right at Yui-han, screaming for them to completely break his legs. The brainless goons leap straight into the air like total clowns, violently promising to teach our boy a brutal lesson. They wildly swing their cheap weapons down, totally assuming this skinny kid is about to drop to his knees and beg. Meanwhile, the useless background workers outside gossip about the massive noise, totally hoping someone finally beats the boss. Before they can even blink, Yui-han violently screams for the trash to get lost, blasting a heavy strike out the door. All 5 sweaty thugs get violently launched straight through the broken doorway, crashing right into a massive pile of garbage. Yui-han casually stands in the doorway looking like an absolute Chad, ruthlessly roasting these completely broken goons for being weak chickens. The factory NPCs absolutely lose their minds, violently screaming and asking if they are totally hallucinating this crazy street fight. They loudly question how a weak kid just instantly folded an entire heavy squad without even breaking a single sweat. The sister asks where he got so strong, and Yui-han smoothly caps about learning secret tricks from a crippled master. The director instantly realizes his entire squad is completely cooked, crying heavy tears as he desperately sprints away down the hallway. But Yui-han is not letting this pig escape, instantly grabbing him right by the collar and completely crushing his hopes. Our boy's eyes glow bright red like a demon as he asks where this clown thinks he is going. He hits the boss with a wicked smile, violently reminding him about his plan to get them fired. He instantly folds, dropping straight to his knees and hugging Yui-han's leg while begging to spare his miserable life. The useless crowd of factory workers, totally shocked that the arrogant boss is literally begging like a dog. His sister gets nervous and gently asks Yui-han to just drop it and spare his life so they can finally dip. Yui-han agrees, ordering the ugly boss to get lost and promising to end him if he tries anything spicy again. The director aggressively nods, crying real tears and sprinting away like a complete coward. Switching right to the main factory floor, an older guy casually strolls up while the crowd wonders what is happening. The brainless NPCs instantly start gossiping, dropping massive lore that this new guy is the top factory manager and director's relative. They violently yap that Yui-han is totally cooked now since he has zero power to beat the big boss. Wang comes sliding in, crying heavy tears and violently hugging his brother-in-law's arm while begging for immediate backup. The manager gets insanely triggered, angrily demanding to know exactly who had the audacity to touch his precious family. Wang aggressively points his finger right at Yui-han, completely snitching on our boy in front of the whole crowd. The manager glares at Yui-han, asking if he realizes how completely outnumbered he is right now. The sister steps right in front of Yui-han, throwing her heavy machinery forward to protect him and demanding they punish her instead. Wang drops a totally evil smirk from behind the manager, secretly plotting to heavily settle the score with both siblings later. But suddenly, the older boss Tang casually steps up, dropping a massive Chad smile and asking if the manager really thinks he runs the city. Before the manager can even process Tang's massive threat, a sneaker violently flies out of nowhere and brutally smacks Fat Wang. Wang completely eats the heavy shoe, and screaming about the absolute disgusting smell, he violently curses, demanding to know who threw a shoe right at his face. Suddenly, an entire army of factory workers pulls up with glowing red eyes, looking totally fed up with this toxic management. They loudly scream that they are absolutely done getting bullied and violently start chucking bricks, wrenches, and banana peels right at the bosses. Wang violently sprints for his life, getting absolutely pelted with heavy garbage while desperately screaming for his brother-in-law to save him. The manager trying to dodge the flying trash, wildly yelling at the crazy crowd to stop their brutal attack. Tang casually crosses his arms, asking the sweating manager if he seriously still wants to protect a bozo who pissed everyone off. The manager freezes, secretly sweating because if he abandons Wang, his angry wife is going to violently fold him later. The director hides right behind his brother-in-law, desperately begging for protection from the angry mob. The older manager holds his hand up, aggressively telling the crazy crowd to wait so he can handle the situation. Suddenly, a tiny secretary violently sprints up to the manager, looking completely panicked. He leans in close and whispers some massive street lore straight into the manager's ear. He drops the bomb that Yuan rolled up in a premium government car, and the guy next to him is literally the mayor's son. Yui, when a factory manager, turns completely pale, literally imagining the mayor's son pulling up just to inspect his business. Meanwhile, Yuan and Tang casually ignore the drama, smoothly talking about grabbing a hot meal at the mall like total chads. The manager realizes he is totally cooked and desperately needs to save himself before the government folds him. Wang completely misses the vibe, laughing out loud and aggressively mocking our boy for having terrible luck today. The manager absolutely snaps, violently spinning around and launching a brutal slap right across Wang's face. Wang completely eats the massive hit, violently spitting blood and dropping straight to the hard floor. He holds his swollen red cheek, totally confused and crying about his brutally attack. The manager completely loses his mind, violently jumping on top of the fat pig and beating the absolute brakes off him in a massive dust cloud. He aggressively screams that this useless bozo ruins his reputation every single day and almost got him permanently finished. The thirsty crowd watches the heavy pounding session, confused if the boss suddenly became a good guy or is just terrified. The manager stands up over the director, loudly announcing to the entire factory that Wang is officially fired right now. He puts on a fake sweet smile, nervously rubbing his hands together and asking the mayor's son if he is satisfied. Tang just casually telling the boss to ask his little bro Yehan instead. The manager totally shocked that he actually has to beg this random broke kid for mercy. Tang smoothly whips out his phone, casually threatening to leak the full recorded video to the top inspection team. The manager completely panics, and violently screaming for Tang to put the heavy device away. He instantly folds like a chair, dropping straight to his knees right in front of our hero. He desperately hugs Yui-han's legs, swearing he had zero clue about Wang's dirty plans. The boss begs for a road to live. The useless NPCs completely lose their minds watching the factory boss literally kiss the floor. They violently gossip about how this kid suddenly leveled up and pulled the mayor's son as heavy backup. Yehan casually looks at his sister and smoothly tells her he is totally over the drama. Our boy drops a massive Chad aura, casually telling the boss they are officially quitting this trash job forever. The manager just stays glued to the carpet and violently thanking Yui-han for sparing his miserable life. Scene shifts to a factory gate. A military jeep aggressively reaves its massive engine. The surviving managers violently wave from behind the fence, crying tears of joy that the street menace is finally gone. The workers stare at the dust cloud, totally shocked that the poor boy turned out to be an undercover boss. While they are driving away, the sister looks totally stressed in the back seat, violently asking how they will survive without their job. Our boy just chills with his hands behind his head, completely unfazed by her panic. Yui-han drops a wicked smirk, casually telling his sister not to sweat it because he just sold a massive green rock for profit. He smoothly tells her to ask the boss Tang for proof, and Tang happily turns around to totally back up his bro's flex. Tang completely glazes Yui-han, telling the sister that our boy's bag is enough to easily handle her deep needs for a lifetime. She violently asks exactly how much the rock sold for, and Yui-han plays it super cool, claiming it was just tens of thousands. She loses her mind at the massive number, violently grabbing Tang by the neck while the heavy jeep literally jumps off the road, leaving Tang screaming for air. though on the other side, a bright neon shopping street packed with brainless NPCs. Yaohan and his sister are casually strolling through the mall while he complains that she always spends his cash to buy some for him. He promises to buy her some clothes today, but then completely freezes when he sees a pair of premium heels sitting at 6,000 bucks. The baddie immediately panics and tries to drag him out, screaming that this store is way too spicy for their basic wallets. Boss Tang suddenly slides into the frame looking like a sugar daddy, loudly promising that spending heavy cash is zero problem for our boy. Yui Han pushes her right into the changing room to try on some new skins. She steps out rocking a black dress that barely contains her massive bakery, secretly worrying the spicy top exposes way too much of her heavy physical stats. Yui Han instantly throws up a thumbs up, totally glazing her beauty and claiming she completely slays any outfit. Boss Tang takes one look at her thick plot and instantly turns into a massive drooling simp, violently begging Yui Han to let him be his official brother-in-law. Yui Han just roasts Tang by telling him to go ask with Goddess herself. Right back inside the glowing boutique, Yuna is happily holding up a spicy little dress to check her fit. Tang starts blushing while completely staring respectfully at her heavy front assets. He instantly folds, telling Yui Han to forget his offer because the sister shines like a literal diamond. Tang claims he is way too shy and completely unworthy to ever tap that premium bakery. Yui Han just drops a hand on his shoulder, dropping a smooth smile and asking why his bro has zero confidence today. Suddenly the vibe completely shatters, as an arrogant rich guy in a slick suit steps into the shop. He wraps his arm around a basic purple-haired girl, brutally roasting our boy for being way too broke to buy clothes here. Yui Han turns around and instantly locks in, furiously glaring at this absolute clown named Bai Lu Fei for daring to show his ugly face. He clenches his glowing fists, totally wanting to send this bozo straight to the graveyard right now. But Bai just drops a wicked smirk, loudly bragging that the mall is heavily patrolled by cops so Yui Han cannot touch him. Our boy starts sweating in pure rage, totally annoyed that he cannot just brutally fold this rich kid in public. Tang casually leans in, offering to call his heavy underground connections to drag these trash bags completely out of sight. Yui Han hits him with a smooth Chad smile, telling his bro to chill because he wants to watch these clowns embarrass themselves. Bai aggressively points his finger right at Yui Han's face, violently barking at him to get lost and stop ruining his expensive shopping trip. Yui Han just crosses his arms, boldly telling the rich bozo to take a total detour if he wants to drop his cash here. Bai and his basic girlfriend burst into loud laughter, mocking Yui Han for trying to act like a heavy spender. The purple-haired hater loudly yaps that our broke boy probably cannot even afford a single pair of cheap panties in this premium store. Yui Han and Tang just stare at them with massive sweat drops, totally thinking these brainless NPCs have zero clue about the bag. Suddenly the heavy curtain slides open, and a pair of bright red heels stepping right out. Yuna happily announces she is totally finished, stepping into the light, rocking a tight yellow strapless dress that barely contains her plot. Yanhan and Tang instantly get massive hard eyes, totally drooling and glazing her goddess-level visuals. Bai takes one look at her thick bakery and completely forgets his own girl, instantly becoming a massive thirsty simp. His purple-haired girlfriend gets insanely jealous, violently shaking his arm and desperately begging him to say she is the hottest one there. Bai awkwardly coughs and feeds her a total cap, but secretly plots to violently steal our boy's thick sister very soon. You broke viewers probably wish you had a baddie like that, but you are stuck staring at a basic screen. Yuhan completely ignores the haters, smoothly handing some fresh gear to the clerk and loudly ordering him to ring it up. The nervous worker tallies the massive bill, loudly announcing the total is over 250,000 bucks. Bai hits a total evil smirk, aggressively telling our boy to stop pretending because his broke wallet is totally cooked. Suddenly, the card machine violently dings with a loud beep, officially proving Yui Han easily paid the massive premium price. Bai's eyes literally bug out of his skull while a heavy fountain of blood violently shoots right out of his nose in pure shock, while Yui Han smoothly dips out with his girl. The scene shifts straight to a bright city skyline before zooming right into a quiet bedroom. Yuhan sits cross-legged on his messy sheets, totally locked in and meditating like a monk. He realizes it is finally time to cure that crippled boss Xiao, since he learned all his sweet kung fu moves. Our boy's eyes violently glow yellow as he instantly downloads a massive medical cheat code straight into his brain. Glowing blue spirit ghosts pop up everywhere, pointing at random body holes and heavily explaining how to completely fix broken limbs. Meanwhile, right outside the door, his sister is secretly peeking through the crack like a stalker. She drops a bomb lore from a tragic flashback with their dying dad. The crusty old man literally confessed they are not biological siblings and begged her to marry our boy when he grows up. Looking at Yui Han radiating massive blue energy, she blushes super hard and realizes her little bro is finally a total Chad. The baddie secretly plots to fulfill that heavy promise, ready to finally let him explore her premium bakery. The next morning rolls around and Yui Han steps out of his room feeling completely refreshed. He happily flexes that a single night of deep grinding completely leveled up his heavy needle skills. He smoothly drops a cheerful good morning right as he bumps into his sister in the hallway, who is rocking a tight yellow tank top. She is heavily sweating with massive bags under her eyes, secretly stressing all night about exactly how to deliver her spicy package. Hearing his voice makes her flinch in pure panic, instantly slamming her bedroom door right in his completely confused face. Yuan turns into a tiny chibi, standing there totally clueless and wondering if his fresh face is suddenly way too scary. He just casually shrugs it off, deciding to leave the crazy baddie alone and go handle his business with the crippled boss. The sister leans against her closed door completely blushing, secretly begging him not to blame her for being totally awkward. On the other hand, a breezy rooftop appears where a boy stands directly in front of the nervous wheelchair legend. Yui-Han asks if the boss is ready to take his heavy tool, and Zhao screams back that he is completely prepared for the deep injection. Yui-Han drops into a low stance, aggressively whipping out his shiny golden needle like an anime protagonist. The wheelchair boss clenches his armrests, and screaming for our boy to just shove it right in. But suddenly the epic tension completely shatters as the sharp needle brutally stabs straight into a massive greasy chicken leg. Later it reveals that these clowns are just throwing a massive rooftop barbecue party right next to a smoking grill. Yui-Han happily bites the thick meat, loudly begging for more heavy spices while a girl quietly watches them act like brainless NPCs. The blue-haired baddie completely loses her mind, glaring at our boy while angry veins pop right on her forehead. She aggressively roasts Yui-Han for just stuffing his face with greasy chicken instead of actually curing her crippled brother. The wheelchair boss awkwardly laughs and capping that he just wanted to chill the heavy vibe before the operation. Yui-Han wipes his mouth and locks in, boldly flexing that he finally found the cheat code for the broken legs. The sister's eyes instantly light up with massive hope. While begging for total confirmation, our boy suddenly drops a dead serious face, warning them that the old blood is completely jammed up in his heavy veins. He brutally admits that one single mistake will leave the boss permanently folded and stuck in that chair forever. The sister instantly panics and desperately begging to just hire some expensive foreign doctor instead, but Zhao completely rejects her, dropping tragic street lore about getting brutally crippled by haters 3 whole years ago. Zhao's sister clings to his arm sadly, saying it's fine to stay away from the street drama. Zhao snaps, erupting into a terrifying aura of screaming green skulls like a literal final boss. He screams that he refuses to stay a total loser and must reclaim his lost bag. Yahan promises to drop his best healing combo, while the sister deeply bows and totally exposes her front package. Moving straight to the operation, Yahan violently unrolls a heavy leather kit packed with shiny medical needles on the table. The sister gently rolls up the boss's pant legs, fully ready for our boy to totally penetrate the dead skin. Yui-Han holds the sharp tools between his fingers, warning the boss this deep injection is going to sting. He violently fires up his magic eyes, flashing blinding red and blue lights while locking exactly onto the hidden spots. He unleashes his ultimate combo, violently blasting 3 glowing needles totally covered in massive yellow lightning straight into the leg. The golden needles brutally stab right into the crippled flesh, triggering a massive explosion of yellow energy. The magic instantly forces all the toxic bad blood to violently gather into one nasty dark spot right below his knee. Yui-Han slices the dark spot with his blade, making nasty black blood spray everywhere. Zhao's sister immediately covers her nose, as she smells like garbage. Our boy wipes the mess and flexes that clearing out the toxic leak means the crippled boss is already half cured. He casually asks the wheelchair legend how the hardware is feeling after the deep release. Zhao drops claims his totally dead legs are finally tingling again. Yui-Han tells them it is time for step 2, and slaps his glowing yellow hands right onto the boss's bare thighs. He pumps massive magic energy deep into the muscle, making Zhao secretly sweat about our boy's crazy hidden power levels. With one final brutal slap right on the knee, the magic totally locks in and finishes the heavy repair job. Yui-Han takes a deep breath and orders the boss to test out his freshly repaired machinery. Zhao slowly pushes himself up from the wheelchair, shaking like a total leaf while his sister watches happily. He violently clenches his fist and erupts in a terrifying blue aura, aggressively screaming that the street legend is officially back. Later, they chill on a bench while Zhao swears his entire life belongs to our boy for fixing his broken body. Yahan smoothly tells him to chill, happily securing the bag as Zhao hands over a rare skill book and a metal knife. The scene shifts to a massive luxury mansion where Yahan is casually hugging his sister. He totally flexes that he bought this premium base and she happily sprints up the massive stairs in her tight yellow dress. She secretly blushes, realizing she totally needs to rely on his heavy package forever now. Yahan flexes his muscles like a massive Chad, promising to handle all her deep needs before dipping to meet his rich bros. But while walking away, he crashes straight into a dark-haired baddie, sending both of them brutally flying to the hard floor. The heavy collision makes the new girl's shopping bag explode all over the stairs. Our boy ends up on his back crying like a chibi while a literal bra lands perfectly right on his head. The dark-haired baddie screams about who had the dare to smash into her. Yui-Han looks right up and instantly recognizes the dark-haired officer from the police station. Before he can even drop a smooth greeting, the officer totally loses her mind over the premium pink bra sitting right on his head. She turns red in rage, launching a brutal kick straight into his chest. Our boy crashes into the stone wall, complaining about catching hands, but she aggressively charges right back to completely fold him. Yui-Han dodges her high heels, loudly warning her to back off before he actually starts fighting this crazy girl. The police officer drops into a low street stance, screaming that she is totally ready to settle the score today. They instantly clash in a cartoon dust cloud, throwing hands right outside the mansion doors. Suddenly, a black car rolls up to the gate, and the rich bozos, including the old Jade Master, completely step out. The dust totally clears, revealing Yui Han and the officer grappling on the ground in a completely wild physical position. Her thighs are totally straddling our boy while the entire rich squad just stares at them with unconscious mind. The officer spots the crowd turning bright red before grabbing her underwear and sprinting away. Boss Tang warns Yui Han that the dark-haired girl is actually a terrifying street menace from the Yang family. Our boy totally ignores the heavy lore, smoothly dusting off his shirt and casually inviting the boys inside his fresh new base. The scene immediately shifts to the massive living room, where his sister pulls up holding a teapot. She greets the squad while bouncing her heavy front bakery, totally playing the perfect housewife for our boy. The old grandpa master chills on the couch with Yuna teasing Yuhan about totally tapping his granddaughter. Yuhan waves his hands and begging his bros Tang and Lin to back up his clean record. Instead of helping, his trash friends completely look at the ceiling, loudly capping about the fancy lights to dodge the drama. The old master just laughs, telling the kids to handle their own spicy business before whipping out a glowing green jade pendant. He smoothly hands over the premium rock as a housewarming gift, which Yuhan happily snatches to secure the easy bag. Boss Tang nudges the old master to finally reveal his second reason for pulling up today. The grandpa asks our boy to totally become his official disciple right now. The bros completely lose their minds in pure shock while Yuri asks her grandpa what he is cooking. The old man flexes that Yehan is an raw genius with green rocks and needs a proper mentor. He further adds this deal will force Yehan to finally claim his granddaughter. Yehan mentally calculates the stats and realizes mixing his magic eye with the grandpa's raw experience is a total cheat code for infinite bags. He drops straight to one knee, eagerly grabbing the old boomer's hands to officially accept him. But the crusty grandpa pumps the brakes, heavily squeezing our boy's wrists and demanding he pass a test first. The grandpa drops a bomb about a massive underground rock gambling festival popping off next month in Yun province. He totally orders Yuhan to take his granddaughter on the long road trip to build massive street clout together. Yehan confidently claps his hands together, loudly swearing he will absolutely dominate the rock festival and secure the win. Suddenly, the heavy mansion doors swing open and the freshly cured street boss Zhao pulls up with his sister. Zhao glazes our boy's premium new base before handing over a heavy wooden box. Yehan pops the lid and blinding yellow lightning completely explodes out of a legendary dagger called the Dragon Scales. At that moment, Grandpa's eyes literally pop completely out of his skull, loudly screaming that the shiny blade is a national treasure. The crusty grandpa points his finger right at Zhao, totally losing his mind and recognizing him as the legendary Southwestern King. The entire room of rich NPCs instantly starts gossiping about how this menace used to fold entire gangs. Shizhou smoothly wraps his arm around Yuhan, loudly swearing his entire underworld empire totally belongs to our boy for magically fixing his legs. The grandpa suddenly realizes our boy is already a top-tier street boss without his help. They all chill on the couches until the bro Lin gets a shady phone call and turns completely pale. Lin heavily sweats and apologizes, admitting his family secretly hired a rival doctor from the north to fix his dying dad instead of Yuhan. Our boy smoothly drops a hand on his shoulder and boldly demanding to crash the appointment tomorrow to completely fold the rival medic. The next evening, the scene shifts to the massive glowing mansion of the Lin family. Inside the fancy hall, an army of NPCs stands around drinking expensive juice. They gossip about some legendary doctor from the northwest pulling up to cure the dying boss. Yehan and Boss Tang chill in the corner sipping drinks, totally ignoring the crowd. Suddenly, Tang spits his drink everywhere in pure disgust when the father and son duo struts into the room. However, heavy footsteps echo as a smug guy finally steps right into the flashing lights. This bozo is apparently the famous Dr. Shen, and all the rich real estate CEOs instantly line up to totally lick his boots. The arrogant doctor keeps his eyes completely closed, aggressively flexing that he will not touch the patient without heavy cash first. The Bai duo drops an evil smirk when they finally spot Yui Han chilling in the back. They immediately start yapping to the brainless crowd, leaking fake lore that Master Lin tried to hire this broke kid instead of Shen. The useless NPCs completely lose their minds, turning on our boy and calling him a street scammer. Yui Han tightly clenches his fist in pure rage, totally forcing himself to swallow the brutal disrespect just to protect his bro Lin's reputation. Boss Tang wildly screams at the boomers to shut their dirty mouths before he brutally kicks them straight to the graveyard. The arrogant guys get insanely triggered, demanding Tang apologize for having absolutely zero class. Tang turns into a screaming demon, spitting censored curses while Yui Han desperately tries to hold his bro back. The entire crowd chants for the host to throw them outside, while the Bai clowns happily watch our boy get completely roasted. Lin family bozo throws his hand up, basically telling squad to hit the exit if they cannot agree. Suddenly, Dr. Shen claps his hands, loudly telling the rich crowd to stop beefing over a total nobody. He drops a fake deep quote about how a real medical Chad needs talent and high morals, basically calling Yuhan a complete trash bin. Tang hears this massive disrespect and screaming about how nobody talks absolute dirt about his little bro. Boss Tang completely loses his mind, violently ripping off his sweaty leather shoe and launching it like a massive heat-seeking missile. The heavy footwear brutally smacks right into Dr. Shen's arrogant face. The brainless NPCs literally freeze in pure shock with giant white eyes while the doctor pulls the dirty shoe off his massive red mark. Tang violently laughs, aggressively roasting the bozo and claiming the stinky leather totally matches his ugly face. Dr. Shen aggressively points his finger and demanding Tang drop to his knees for a full apology. He brutally threatens to walk out and let the old boss totally expire if the Lin family does not immediately handle this spicy mess. Lin slowly stepping up to completely fold his own pride and apologize to the toxic doctor, but Yui Han violently grabs his arm to stop him, stepping up like an absolute Chad and loudly announcing he will personally cure the dying boss today. The entire room of rich boomers violently erupts into absolute laughter, aggressively roasting our boy for having zero medical credentials. Dr. Shen drops a wicked smirk, loudly swearing he will completely delete his own career and quit medicine forever if Yui Han actually pulls off a miracle. The ugly bai tries to yap from the back, but Tang violently threatens to beat the absolute brakes off him, making the hater hide behind his daddy like a scared dog. Dr. Shen aggressively agrees to the heavy bet, boldly spreading his legs wide open and demanding our boy take a deep crawl straight under his premium crotch if he fails. Nangartuk Brolin warns Yui Han that losing this crazy bet means total humiliation. Our boy just hits him with a smile, fully swearing he can easily cure the dying boss. Brolin violently opens the heavy double doors, boldly inviting the entire crowd inside to act as official witnesses. The NPCs gossip while walking in, totally hyped to watch Yu Hing crawl right under Shen's crotch. Boss Tang erupts in pure rage at these toxic haters, but Yu Hing smoothly grabs his shoulder to chill him out. They go straight to the quiet medical room. The old patriarch is totally hooked up to heavy life support machines. Our boy totally locks in, violently firing up his magic yin-yang eye to scan the old man's hardware. His magic eye violently glows bright blue, revealing the old boss's entire glowing skeleton, which looks completely normal. But suddenly massive terrifying green skull ghosts violently explode right out of the dying boomer's open mouth. Johan hits the floor screaming, not like he saw a ghost but like his mom just opened his search history. The NPCs completely laughs and roasting our boy for being scared. The pink-suited Bai Bozo points his finger, brutally telling Yui Han to admit total defeat and get lost. Boss Tang and Bro Lin rush over to pick our sweating boy right up off the cold tile floor. Yui Han quickly rubs his glowing eyes, totally realizing his massive cheat code let him see netherworld monsters. Yui Han completely understands that a massive gloomy monster is draining the old man's life bar. The Bai Bozo barks at our boy to step aside so the arrogant Dr. Shen can finally flex. Tang curses the hater, but Yui Han just drops a massive villain smirk right in the middle of the room. He confidently tells Bro Lin not to sweat it, claiming he just needs to grab some premium items to finish the heavy job. Yui Han focuses, his magic eyes glow bright blue when he realizes his special power can destroy the ghosts. Meanwhile, the ugly Bai plays Dr. Shen. He asks if he understands the illness. The arrogant doctor sweats. He knows nothing because his medical tests show no signs of disease. He tells a big lie and claims the old man is just weak and upset. Yui Han interrupts the bad diagnosis and scolds the fake doctor for speaking nonsense. Yui Han announces the old man is not sick. This makes the doctor throw a tantrum. Brother Lin panics, but Yui Han tells his friend to relax while he does the hard work. Dr. Shen smirks and mocks Yui Han for wanting the reward when real doctors cannot cure the man. Yui Han ignores the fool. He summons his blue aura and shoots an energy strike at the glowing green skulls. He destroys the monsters from the underworld and yells at them to go back where they came from. Yui Han wipes his forehead and states the job is done. Boss Tang complains he missed recording the fight because Yui Han finished the attack too fast. Dr. Shen and the others burst into laughter. They call Yui Han a cheat because the old man is still asleep. Then the sick old man starts coughing. He complains that the fools in the room are making too much noise. The crowd of rich men freezes in shock. They sweat when they realize the young man cured the illness. Brother Lin rejoices. He cries and throws himself onto the bed to hug his father. He asks the old man how his body feels after sleeping for so long. The old boss looks around with wide eyes. He feels relief and asks if the scary monster went away. Brother Lin stares at him in confusion. He lacks the magic eyes needed to understand the truth. Beside the bed, Yui Han tells the old boss not to worry because the dark monster is gone. The old man sits up and praises Yui Han for saving his life. The crowd of rich men gasps in shock. They cannot believe the young man performed a miracle. They turn their backs on Bai. They call him a useless fraud and a fool. They attack Bai and beat him in a cloud of dust. The man in the pink suit cries for his father to save him from the punches. His cowardly father sees the fight and runs away. He abandons his son to the angry mob. Dr. Shen looks battered and cries that he refuses to believe Yui Han cured the disease. Yui Han smirks. His blue eyes glow as he grabs the crying doctor by the shoulder. He shares his magic vision with the fake doctor. This forces Shen to stare at the scary green skull monster. Shen wets his pants in terror. He screams for his mother and runs out of the room like a frightened child. Later in the quiet room, Brother Lin watches the crying doctor run away. He then asks his father to explain the hidden secret. The old man orders the guests out of the room. He reveals their ancestors made their wealth by robbing tombs. He admits he broke a cursed vase a few months ago. This mistake released the green ghost into his body. Young Lin thanks Yui Han for saving his life. Yui Han replies that helping friends is normal work. The panicked butler bursts through the doors. He shouts that a large group of rich businessmen begs to meet the new hero. Yui Han sweats as he looks at the massive crowd in the hallway. The desperate men start punching each other. They create a giant fight just to book a meeting with him. Yui Han stands there. He feels tired of these foolish men who want to give him piles of cash. Right outside the door, a serious guy with a mustache and glasses steps into the chaotic room. The thirsty crowd recognizes him as Secretary Leash from the main city committee and starts panicking. He asks Yui Han if he has free time to check out the sick mayor today. Our boy nods and secures the ultimate political bag, strutting down the hallway while the basic crowd praises his massive street clout. Switching over to a depressing hospital room, the news blasts stories about Yui Han becoming the absolute city legend. The broken rich kid Bai Lu Fei shatters the TV with a remote, throwing a massive tantrum while trapped in heavy bandages. He cries to his crusty dad, begging to fold our boy and send him straight to the grave. The ugly father drops an evil smirk, revealing he just paid heavy cash for a premium hitman from the Golden Triangle. Back out in the sunny streets, a random guy on crutches praises Yu Han for finally fixing his weak waist. The healed bozo flexes that his thick wife stopped threatening divorce now that his heavy machinery works again. His spicy wife struts out in a tight red dress holding a hot bowl of energy soup. She drops a flirty wink at her man, clearly starving for some deep midnight action at midnight. Meanwhile, a military jeep rolls up to the curb and Boss Tang yells for our boy to hop into the passenger seat. Tang steers the wheel, telling Yui Han to stop grinding house calls and just open a permanent premium clinic. Yui Han nods along, ready to hunt for a solid store location to do this professionally. But the vibe ruins when a sketchy goon in a beanie spot them, texting his boss that the target is locked. Yui Han announces the old man is not sick, bright red laser dot tracking straight across Tang's chest. Our boy screams a warning and snatches the wheel, swerving the massive jeep right as heavy bullets shatter the windshield. The vehicle drifts hard and crashes in the middle of the road while the randoms sprint away crying for the cops. Tang curses the shooter, but Yui Han just glares ahead, thankful his magic eyes kept them from hitting the graveyard. High on a glass building, a sniper grips a heavy rifle. He looks through the scope and barks into his phone. He tells his partner the target parked in a blind spot and orders him to attack. The partner smiles and promises the young man will die today. Down at the crashed jeep, Boss Tang asks for the next move. Yui Han tells his friend to relax because the sniper lacks a clear angle to shoot them. He plans to hide and wait for the police to arrive. A white car drives around the corner and stops. A killer wearing a hat leans out the window and points a black pistol at their heads. Yui Han makes a fighting stance and refuses to die at the hands of common thugs. He pulls out his shiny dagger and summons a bright red aura. Up in the tower, the killer laughs hard. He mocks the young man for bringing a knife to a gunfight. A bullet flies at Yui Han's head, but the hero swings his glowing blade and cuts the metal in half. Boss Tang and the killer open their mouths in shock. Bystanders peek from behind a concrete wall. They stare at Yui Han and wonder if they are in a movie. The killer panics. He leaps out of his car and fires his gun fast. Bullets rain down, aiming to kill Yui Han. Yui Han uses his magic eyes. They flash bright blue and gold to track the bullets. He sees the path of each shot and blocks them all with his flaming dagger. He runs straight through the gunfire and charges at the killer. The scared man screams and asks who this monster is. Yui Han tells him to be quiet and brings the fiery blade down hard. The killer blocks with a simple knife. He sweats as he feels the young man's great strength. Kermis Fremoyov the sniper watches the fight through his scope and aims his gun. He pulls the trigger. A bullet flies straight at Yui Han's back. Yui Han sees the danger with his magic eyes. He leans backward to dodge the shot. The bullet flies past his face and hits the killer in the chest. The killer falls to the street and bleeds. Yui Han thanks the sniper for the help. Police sirens wail down the street. The sniper screams in anger when he realizes he shot his own partner. After that, Yui Han and Tang hide behind the jeep and mocks the sniper. Police cars arrive at the scene. Officer Yan steps out and orders the court to search the nearby buildings. She worried about Yui Han's life. Meanwhile, the sniper grabs his rifle and promises to kill Yui Han later. Officer Yan points her gun at the jeep and orders the men to step out with their hands up. Our boy walks out and says he is a good citizen. Tang tells the police that Yui Han just defeated a dangerous killer. The other police officers look at the dead man. They say he was a wanted criminal. Officer Yan stares into Yui Han's eyes and asks for his secrets. Yui Han says he was just lucky. She sees a small scratch on his hand. Her stern face softens, and she offers to bandage it. Tang ruins the quiet moment. He slaps his own butt and begs the officer to bandage him too. Officer Yan grows angry and kicks him hard. Tang falls onto the concrete. While he cries on the ground, she sits on the curb and gently wraps Yui Han's hand. The other police officers watch in shock. They cannot believe their fierce boss is acting so sweet with a young stranger. A black car arrives at the scene. Yui gets out of the car. She looks worried about the hero. Instead of finding a crime scene, Yui catches the spicy officer holding Yuhan's hand and instantly gets pissed off. When a nervous Yuhan awkwardly asks what she's doing there, Yuna sarcastically fires back, questioning if she interrupted their little moment. Bro immediately realizes his life is in danger. Amidst all this tension, Yuna spots the messy bow knot on his arm. Openly mocking Officer Yan's terrible bandaging skills, she steps in to show her how it's actually done, effortlessly retying the bandage into a perfect flower knot. Officer Yan grows angry. She glares at Yuna and declares war over the young man. The two women pull out long strips of bandage. They wrap Yui-han tight like a gift. Yui-han screams. He looks like an old mummy wrapped in cloth. The angry women finally stop fighting. They promise to finish their argument later. Yuna drags Yui-han away. The scene changes to a dark government base in Yanjing. A serious boss in a nice suit pauses a large video. The video shows Yui-han cutting the sniper bullet. He asks his strange agents how they feel about hiring this strong young man. The spies sweat. They know the boy possesses too much power. The boss asks for a volunteer to travel to Shanghai City and find the boy. The agents tell lies to avoid the job. They claim they have broken backs or missing weapons. The boss turns red with anger. He prepares to scold his lazy team until the door flies open. A pair of red shoes steps into the room. A beautiful woman with red hair walks in. She asks the boss if he has a new mission. The boss turns pale. He asks why Agent Hufeng returned early from her vacation. She stubs out her cigarette on the table and explains that she blew up a foreign palace by mistake and became a wanted criminal. The lazy agents stare at her and sweat. They realize this woman causes disasters everywhere she goes. They question the boss in their minds. They wonder why he hired the craziest woman in the world. Hufeng walks up to the boss and asks if this handsome boy is the mission target. Panicked, the boss lies and claims he is, but insists the mission has already been assigned to someone else, secretly terrified that handing this over to her would lead to a massive disaster. He quickly turns to his agents, demanding to know who took the mission, but not a single soul dares to step up. Watching their silence, Hufeng's temper snaps. She shatters the wooden table with a single kick and demands to know if they take her for an idiot. Terrified, the agents immediately throw the boss under the bus, admitting the whole mess is his doing. Hufeng grabs Yuhan's file, glares at them, and asks who the mission belongs to now. The agents quickly scramble to agree that of course it belongs to her. Satisfied, she happily heads off to Shanghai City. A few days later, Yuhan waves goodbye to Boss Zhao. He wants to train and grow stronger after the sniper attack. His phone rings. He sees his sister's name and answers with a smile, but a villain chuckle on the other end. The man reminds Yui-han about the failed ambush. He gives him an ultimatum. He orders Yui-han to come to an old building in 1 hour, or his sister will die. Yui-han crushes his phone. His eyes flash with rage. He promises to destroy the man if he touches his sister. Inside the rusted factory, Yui-han's sister is tied to a chair, and she's essentially become a human bomb, with explosives rigged all over her. The sniper steps out of the shadows. He promises the siblings a reunion. Yui-han, our boy, runs into the warehouse and screams her name. The sniper stands in the light and blocks the girl. Yui-han demands the release of his sister. He tells the sniper to leave her out of their fight, but the villain pulls out the remote, and Yui-han's heart stops. He desperately yells at him to hold off. The sniper threatens him to blow up the girl if Yui-han moves. Yui-han stares at the killer and asks for his price to let her go. The killer licks his lips and raises his pistol. He forces Yui-han to play a game and choose who dies today. Yui-han offers his life for his sister. The girl cries and begs him to run. The sniper just laughs and raises his gun at Yui-han. But bro doesn't flinch. He grips his dagger, ready to turn this into a bloodbath. Suddenly a voice shouts from the rafters. Agent Hufeng sits on a beam, eats a lollipop, and asks if she should bring snacks. The sniper points his gun at the woman and tells her to leave. Hufeng smiles and warns him that he will die for threatening her. She dives off the beam. The hitman fires his gun at her. She lands on the floor in a split, dodges the bullet, and stands up and openly mocking his pathetic aim. The sniper panics and reaches for the bomb button. Our boy glows with blue light and dashes forward. He throws his dagger and slices the hitman's hand. The remote falls to the floor while the killer screams in pain. Hufeng prepares to finish the fight. The agent kicks the sniper in the jaw and breaks his jawbone. He falls to the ground and loses consciousness. The agent casually brushes her hands off, while Yui-han rushes to untie his sister. She thanks the agent for the help. Hufeng ignores her and checks the killer's pockets for cash. She curses the man for having no money. Yui-han watches her and feels uneasy. Hufeng drops a bombshell by telling Yui-han that she has nowhere to stay tonight and bluntly asks if she can crash at his place. Before Yui-han can even process this or get a word in, she considers the deal done. Yui-han is left stunned, realizing he didn't even get a chance to agree to this, but his sister steps in to calm him down, reminding him that she did save her life after all. Hufeng doesn't give him a second to protest and simply orders him to lead the way. Year later that night at the glowing mansion, Yui-han creeps along the outdoor balcony like a sneaky ninja. He needs to uncover this crazy woman's true identity since she packs way too much raw power. He peeks through the foggy glass window, his pulse racing as he catches the agent washing off in the steam. Suddenly, she stretches her leg against the glass and Yui Han's eyes practically pop out of his skull as he gets an unfiltered, jaw-dropping view of her golden cave. Hofeng walks out of the bathroom wrapped in a towel. She enjoys the comfortable room, she spots his shadow and smiles, loudly declaring that this mission is way too simple, before she suddenly appears in front of our boy and scares him, causing Yui Han to slip and fall right off. He hits the dirt with a loud thud. His sister looks out the window to check on him, but Yui Han claims that he is just practicing. Yui Han climbs back up to the balcony to confront her. He demands her real name. She smiles and decides to tease him. She steps close and swings a kick at his head. Yui Han blocks the strike and sweats at her speed. He asks why she wants to kill him. The agent winks and tells a strange lie. She claims she loves his sister and needs to remove him to claim the girl. Yui Han spits his saliva across the balcony. He screams at the crazy redhead, asking why a woman wants to steal his sister. The spicy redhead screams she loves girls and launches herself right at Yui Han. He refuses to fold and activates his magic eyes to scan her premium frame. He spots a million sloppy mistakes in her combat stance and ducks under her thick high kick. Winding up a glowing blue aura, he blasts her with a massive cannon fist. She blocks the raw energy wave, furious about his sudden power spike. Suddenly, his sister calls out, asking what he's doing and warning him to step back. Just as Yui Han tries to tell her about the agent, the woman completely vanishes. Before he can react, the agent suddenly pops out of the window, openly asking why he was peeping at her in the bath. Yui Han's jaw drops. He nervously denies it, wondering if she's some kind of actor. Yuna erupts into a fiery rage, ignoring his desperate excuses to explain the mess, grabs a brick and hurls it straight into his face, knocking him flat on the ground. He cries in a puddle with a swollen cheek while the agent smirks from the shadows. The next morning, Yui Han walks down the indoor stairs, yawning after catching an earful from his sister. He steps into the living room and spots Boss Tang, and Yuna sits with the agent. Tang slaps his shoulder, praising him for bringing a premium spicy girl home. The redhead drops a flirty wink, calling him darling and asking if she drained his heavy energy last night. Yui Han turns into a frozen block of pure shock while his brain flatlines. The pink baddie loses her mind, chucking a pair of plane tickets right at his face. She screams at him to fly to the Southern Rock Festival all by himself. Plane tells him that she showed up to drop the tickets and caught the worst fake lore ever. He sprints out the door, crying for her to stop and listen to the real story. Boss Tang chases behind them, begging to join the spicy road trip like a desperate sidekick. Yui Han catches up to his Yuna right outside the mansion. He begs her to believe him, drops a swear on his actual life. He promises he has zero dirty ties to that crazy redhead. He explains he only let her crash for the night because she saved their lives at the Rusty factory. Yuna finally drops her angry pout, smiling sweetly and saying she believes his story this time. Right when the sweet vibes return, a flirty voice echoes from the top floor, calling our boy a sweet baby. Glowing red hearts fill the sky as Hufeng leans out the window looking like a premium snack. She pouts her lips and asks why he has not come to give her the massage. Yui Han turns pale like a ghost, his eyes bugging right out of his skull. He screams his lungs out, begging this menace to stop ruining his life with her massive lies. Dolphic agent smirks and doubles down, claiming he stood on her balcony begging to rub her back. Yui Han yells she is a liar, trying to explain he only went out there to check her moves. Suddenly, he realizes that he did a big mess. Yuna erupts into a fiery rage right behind him, demanding to know why he visited another girl in the dark. Before our boy can even drop a smooth excuse, Yuna unleashes a massive slap that sends him flying across the yard. He eats the dirt hard, holding his swollen cheek while his baddie stomps away in pure anger. Up on the balcony, Hufeng laughs out loud, enjoying the spicy drama she cooked up. Yui Han jumps to his feet, glaring at the window and asking why this toxic girl keeps framing him. Hufeng taunts him, daring him to come up and punish her if he really packs enough power. Our boy snaps, firing up a blinding blue aura and screaming that he refuses to take this heavy disrespect. He leaps up the building in a glowing flash, moving way faster than his basic stats showed last night. The redhead gasps as he bursts through the window, crashing down in a giant cloud of thick smoke. The dust settles to show Yui Han pinning her tight to the floor, asking if she is finally satisfied. He demands to know about her, and she admits he packs way more power than she expected. Dropping a wicked smirk, the thick baddie claims she wanted to play with her new toy for a few more days. Yui Han refuses to hear her basic lies, raising his glowing blue fist and threatening to send her straight to the graveyard. Before he can land the heavy strike, she slaps a black card right onto his forehead. Our boy peels the card off his face, looking like a confused chibi, reading the shiny letters that say Security Bureau. The agent struts over to the premium couch, crossing her thick legs like a boss. She asks if he feels terrified now, ordering him to drop to his knees and beg for his miserable life. Yui Han squats on the carpet, holding the plastic card, asking if the Security Bureau is just some cheap local guard company. Hufeng spits her water straight across the room, sprouting shark teeth in pure rage. She screams at this broke kid, asking if he lives under a rock and never watched spy movies. Yui Han cowers, roasting her right back by claiming she looks nothing like a real government spy. She stands up tall, telling him to open his eyes and watch a real pro work. A massive glowing yellow flare shoots straight up into the sky. This is a cloud-piercing arrow meant to summon a massive army of troops. Yui Han leans right over the balcony rail, watching the bright red fireworks explode everywhere. He hits her with a smug smile, roasting her ancient methods to communicate. Our boy fires up his magic vision to peek over the hills, and his brain instantly blue screens. He spots a literal war zone pulling up with heavy tanks, attack helicopters, and soldiers locking rocket launchers right onto his house. His eyes bug out of his skull as he realizes this thick baddie actually called in maximum government backup. Yui Han drops straight to the floor, crying massive tears while begging her to cancel the strike. Hu Feng hits a smug smile, speaking into her phone to call off the street sweep. Yui Han checks the window again, watching the entire military squad vanish into thin air. He sits on the carpet with a blank stare, questioning his entire existence while his soul leaves his body. The redhead stretches her arms high, dropping the heavy lore that she's completely exhausted. Without missing a beat, she flops face down onto the bed, putting her entire cake on full display. As our boy sits there like a loyal dog, massaging her thick legs, Yui Han flashes a smooth smile, playing off his insane power as simple free time practice. The thick agent ignores his humble act, revealing her team dug through his entire life history. Yui Han admits his family record is spotless as a citizen. Suddenly, she drops a massive trap card, ordering him to follow her to the government base tomorrow to start his new official job. Yui Han turns pale. He yells and stomps his feet at the thought of joining her dangerous team. He rejects the offer. He turns his back on the woman and climbs out the window to escape. She points her finger and orders him to stop. She tries to bribe him with government rewards such as 16 months of pay a year and long paid vacations. Yui Han pauses on the ledge. He wants the money, but he shakes his head and jumps. He refuses to trade his quiet life for her dangerous work. The redhead watches him run, plotting to drag him into the bureau to use his raw power against the ancient martial arts bosses. Yui Han sprints away, roasting her in his head for thinking he would risk his life for some basic government benefits. The scene shifts to a bright room where his sister zips up a heavy suitcase, warning her little brother to avoid bad accidents in South. Yui Han just smiles and claims a simple rock festival holds zero threat, brushing off her sweet concerns like a naive main character. Right on cue, the spicy agent struts down the stairs in her red heels, breaking the nice moment to warn him this specific festival is a total trap. Yui Han asks for the deep lore, but she keeps it a secret, hurling a pokeball right at his face. He catches the ball out of the air and she explains the gadget will hide his legendary street dagger from the airport security scanners. He stares at the ball, realizing his peaceful vacation is ruined, while she flashes a wicked smile and orders him to stay alive. The next morning, Yui Han, Yuna, and Tang finally arrives at South for the rock festival. Yuna stretches her arms wide open, bouncing her massive bakery while cheering about reaching their premium destination. Tang drops a wicked smirk, asking our boy if he wants to explore the shady local service industry. Yuna loses her mind and glares at the two bastards before stomping her thick high heel straight down onto Yui Han's foot. Yuna, our boy, apologizes her for his creepiness, while Tang complains about their missing ride. Suddenly, an absolute clown named Master Ning Feng struts onto the scene and calls Yuna's name. The flashy bozo takes off his goofy glasses to drop basic simp lines, claiming he and Yuna are destined to be together. Yuna reveals this walking joke is a rich jewelry boss attending the gambling festival. A hot pink sports car covered in anime decals rolls up, and the simp smoothly offers his premium ride to Yuna. Yuna rejects the ugly car and waves her hands, telling a massive cap that their premium ride is already arriving. The bozo ignores her boundaries, trying to invite her to his giant villa to talk about life and smash. Before he can touch the baddie, our boy steps up like a Chad and slaps the simp's arm away. Ning Feng gets triggered and points his finger, screaming for the broke kid to get lost before he catches hands. Yui Han grabs the screaming bozo and launches him through the air, making him crash flat onto the hood of his pink car. Yui Han wraps his arm around Yuna's shoulder, boldly declaring to the entire street that he is her boyfriend. The baddie turns pure red, completely flustered by the massive flex. But our boy isn't done. He drops a cheeky smirk and suddenly plants a kiss right on her lips to seal the deal. Embarrassed, she forcefully shoves his chest away and starts cursing him out while Boss Tang throws up a massive thumbs up to glaze his bro's heavy riz. The blonde simp peels himself off the crushed car hood, erupting in rage over their spicy street romance. Tang mocks the jealous loser for trying to ruin a perfect couple, making the rich kid scream for his two suited goons to fold our heroes right on the pavement. The blonde simp orders his suited guards to fold Yu Han. Yu Han yells at them to go to hell and swings a massive glowing backhand. The heavy slap connects, sending both goons flying through the air to crash hard into the stone pillars. The defeated guards drop to their knees and cry like babies, begging the simp for mercy while realizing they picked the wrong fight. The rich boy screams in pure terror, totally clueless about the massive power gap. Yui Han fires up his blazing red aura and pulls out his legendary street dagger. He steps toward the shaking bozo, claiming it is finally his turn to catch hands. The rich boy stutters and begs, asking what the hero wants from him. Yui Han drops a cheeky smirk, boldly stating he just wants to help him change his outfit. With a blinding flash of wind, our boy completely shreds the bozo's clothes. He moves so incredibly fast that the guy doesn't even realize his fit is ruined until the fabric simply falls apart, exposing his secret stash of spicy women's undergarments underneath. Yuna screams and covers her eyes, totally blinded by the cursed bakery on display. Tang spits his drink in pure disgust while the humiliated simp covers his chest and runs away crying for his mommy. Leaving a massive dust trail, the cowardly bozo escapes the streets. Yui Han roasts the loser for his freaky hobbies, and Yuna gags, swearing she needs to throw up after seeing that raw disaster. The chaotic vibe pauses when a random voice calls out Yuna's last name from behind. They turn around to see the driver who came to pick them up from the airport. The glasses-wearing nerd introduces himself as Lu, claiming Yuna's rich dad sent him to grab them. Yui Han hypes up the free ride, instantly tossing all their heavy bags onto the poor Tang. The scene switches to a sunny outdoor restaurant where the gang stuffs their faces with a massive street feast. Yui Han glazes the premium chicken legs while Yuna packs away giant desserts, absolutely starving after the morning drama. Yuna looks around and asks where Tang vanished to. In the shady background, Tang whispers to the driver, begging him to drop the address for the local midnight massage parlors. Suddenly, a loud, angry voice echoes across the dining room, completely ruining the good vibes. A loud guy wearing a traditional robe, calling the local meals straight garbage compared to his Eastern dishes. The arrogant bozo screams that the plates are basically pig food, triggering every single local in the building. The angry crowd instantly swarms the rude tourist, telling him to pack up his trash and get out of their country. Delted Stow. The restaurant crowd panics when the ugly tourist pulls out his sharp blade. A local guy in a green shirt yells for the cops, terrified the bozo will actually start slicing. The crusty samurai just laughs, acting like an absolute final boss who cannot be touched. The guy in the fancy suit glazes his guard, calling the entire crowd a bunch of weak cowards. Yuna spots the suited man and warns Yui Han that he runs a massive foreign company. Shocked, they pulled up to the local gambling event. Yui Han stands up looking completely bored and mutters that these fools are begging for the graveyard. Before he can even step up, the tank top guy charges forward glowing with a heavy blue aura. He curses the arrogant boss and throws a massive punch straight into the suited man's face. The rich boss goes flying backwards, spitting out blood. Yuna Han watches from the side, surprised this random gym bro packs that much raw speed. The bleeding boss screams from the floor, ordering his ugly samurai to cut the local down. The guard powers up his blue aura and draws his katana, ready to slice the gym bro in half. The tank top guy instantly panics, realizing he brought zero weapons to this deadly sword fight. Suddenly, Yui Han dashes in with his blazing red dagger, perfectly blocking the heavy wind strike. Our boy yells out and swings his flaming blade, completely shattering the enemy's shiny sword into tiny pieces. The samurai screams in pure terror before getting blasted backward into a pile of broken chairs. The gym bro hypes up the save while Yuna blushes hard, completely stunned by Yui Han's massive res. The rich boss absolutely loses his mind, crying that his premium samurai got folded by a simple street knife. The tank top guy flexes his muscles, ordering them to toss the crying foreign boss into the trash. Heading over to the table, the gym bro introduces himself as Kun and gives Yui Han a solid thanks for the save. Back on the table, Kun warns him that the city is about to get extremely messy. Yuna asks if all the drama is tied to the massive local rock festival. Kun confirms the heavy lore, explaining that 4 giant mafia families are fighting over the premium rewards. Yui Han stays quiet, secretly wondering if this chaotic war zone is just a test from his rich boss, Mr. Joe. Kun cuts the serious talk, raising his glass to toast their wild appetite and begging to get smashed tonight. The crew clinks their glasses, locking in the good vibes before the real trouble starts. The next morning, a loud bell rings across the mountains as the gang pulls up to a giant ancient temple. Yui Han calls out the spot while Yuna stares at the massive gates. Kun brags that the temple is packed with legendary masters, while the weak Tang cries in the back, totally out of breath. A heavy door creaks open, revealing a bald old monk named Amitabha, holding hands with a tiny pink-haired girl. The monk walks straight past at Yui Han, looking right at him to drop a massive plot twist. He claims he has been waiting for our boy, straight up handing the little kid over to him. The entire squad freezes in place, popping giant question marks over their empty heads. The little girl points her finger right at our boy and loudly asks if he is her dad. Our boy literally spits a massive fountain of blood into the air. Tang starts clapping, begging the Chad to drop his secret recipe for making babies. Yuna clenches her fists and calling him a cheating bastard. Yui Han rips his own hair out, screaming that he has been completely single for 20 straight years. The spicy baddie grabs Yui Han right by his collar, overflowing with a terrifying dark boss aura. She threatens him if he doesn't clear the matter right now. The old monk drops a truth bomb, calmly explaining the baddie completely misunderstood the lore. He reveals Qin Sheng just feels a deep connection to Yui Han, completely clearing our boy of all baby daddy charges. Yuna finally lets go of her deadly chokehold, blushing hard while turning her head away to hide her embarrassment. Yui Han cries waterfalls, complaining that his crazy girl never even gave him a second to explain. Getting back to business, Yui Han asks the bald master what is actually wrong with the girl. the monk drops a news, stating only our boy possesses the raw power to keep her breathing. Confused, Yui Han fires up his glowing blue magic eyes to scan her stats and see the hidden illness. His brain completely flatlines when a massive, terrifying red demon dragon bursts from her tiny shadow, radiating pure nightmare energy. Yu Master nods, confirming our hero just spotted the deadly hidden boss locked inside the child. He explains this dark monster craves Yui Han's premium spiritual energy, and if it escapes, the entire city will turn into a giant graveyard. The tired monk gently pushes the little girl forward, admitting his own battery is completely drained and his time on Earth is almost over. He begs the Chad to take over the heavy carrying duties and save the world from a disaster. The baddie totally melts, touching the kid's soft cheeks and begging Yu Han to accept the side quest. The girl dashes forward and wraps her arms tight around Yu Han's leg, happily screaming that she loves his scent. Feeling the heavy pressure from his entire squad, Yu Han finally folds, scratching his head and agreeing to adopt the little time bomb. Yui Han Master smiles and thanks the young hero, immediately clasping his hands to drop a legendary reward. Without warning, the monk blasts Yui Han with a wave of blinding golden energy, engulfing him in a giant fire tornado, while Tang and Yuna gets panic, screaming his name. Bro-kun quickly blocks them, explaining the old master is just transferring VIP skills, leaving him wondering how a broke street kid secured such massive temple clout. Right in the middle of the ritual, a group of killers suddenly appears behind them out of nowhere. The bald villain steps up and dropping a heavy threat that today is Yu Han's final day on Earth. Since our boy is busy soaking up the monk's golden fire tornado, the group steps forward and ready to defend our young boy. The bald boss just laughs, ordering his thugs to charge forward and slice them up. Just as the goons charge in to attack the group, Yu Han suddenly steps into the fray. His power-up is finally complete and he instantly unleashes a massive golden aura, blasting all the goons flying backward. The squad watches in pure shock as the hitmen crash hard into the pavement. Yui Han glares at the bald boss, swearing that anyone who touches his crew is catching an instant one-way ticket to the graveyard. Yui Han completely ignores the killer's yapping and slices his throat with blinding speed. Then, summoning a massive dragon aura, he wipes out the remaining goons in a single devastating strike. The bald loser collapses onto the stone floor in a massive puddle, realizing too late that he picked a fight with the main character. Our boy stands over the trash, calling him a weak bug. Yuna hypes up the insane power spike, while Yui Han turns around to thank the old master for the level up. He flexes his new stats, bragging that he is ready to break through to the next massive power tier. Suddenly, the old monk's battery finally hitting zero. Yui Han rushes over with his glowing healing hands, but the old man smiles and pushes him away. The monk gives his final blessings, telling the young Chad to live without regrets before his body turns into glowing golden dust. Johan King Sheng watching the shiny particles float into the sky while promising to protect her forever. The scene completely shifts to the next sunny morning, where a massive mob of rich folks gathers for the giant stone gambling festival. Johan and Yuna casually stroll through the packed venue, taking in the crazy sights of all the wealthy VIPs hunting for premium rewards. Suddenly, they spot the thirsty Tang, who aggressively simping over a thick blonde beauty. Johan loses his mind over the massive embarrassment, instantly regretting bringing this thirsty loser on their business trip. Yuna and Johan grab the creepy dog by his neck, literally dragging him away through the crowd like a sack of garbage. Into the shiny exhibition hall, Johan stares at the expensive rocks. He is fully hyped to secure a massive bag of cash today. Yuna asks which rock catches his eye. Our boy points straight at a dark boulder, flexing his magic vision, and realizes that it holds a massive jade core worth 200 million. Johan immediately tells the salesgirl to lock in the purchase, but suddenly Ningfeng struts up and points at the exact same rock and announces he wants to steal the prize. Johan threatens him to fold him like laundry again. Ningfeng just laughs, points his finger to a guard, and warns him that nobody can legally touch him during an official auction. Dropping a polite smile, Johan welcomes him while the blonde guy bids 3 million. Our hero instantly counters, adding just $1 single to the bid. Ningfeng gets triggered, accusing Johan of trolling, but our boy just pulls his eyelids down and sticks his tongue out like a total menace. Yuna and the chubby guy cheer for the top-tier disrespect, while the rich guy loses his mind. Screaming that his family is loaded, the rich kid throws down 4 million. The numbers skyrocket fast as the two trade bids, with Ningfeng spitting everywhere until he finally screams out 10 million. The crowd of rich NPCs starts whispering, completely shocked that some broke kid is going toe-to-toe with the local jewelry heir. Yuna grabs Johan's arm, sweating that her man is about to go bankrupt over a basic street rock. Johan tells his spicy girl to relax while the rich guy brutally roasting him for being broke and basically begging for the graveyard. Confident in his magic, our boy raises one finger and bids 10 million in one piece. Ningfeng opens his mouth to drop another heavy bid, but his guard desperately yanks his arm back. The guard begs his boss to stop, swearing the rock is pure garbage and telling him to let Johan swallow the massive debt. The simp finally uses his single brain cell, laughing out loud and telling Johan to go cry to his mommy. The surrounding crowd roasts our hero, calling him a massive idiot for dropping a fortune on actual street trash. Ningfeng pulls a goofy face, dreaming that his petty win will make Yuna bounce straight onto his lap, But instead of crying, Johann slowly turns around, looking completely bored, and calling the rich kid stupid. He drops a massive trap card, betting his entire life savings against 100 million that the rock is a hidden treasure. The guard whispers that the stone is only worth 5 million max, making the arrogant kid blindly take the bait. The wild crowd loses their minds, with random bozos promising to pee upside down and eat trash if our boy actually wins. The rich kid waves a massive check right in the Johann's face, asking if he actually brought enough cash to cover the heavy bet. Suddenly, Yuna struts up to the counter and drops a check to prove her man has deep pockets. Johann instantly claims her as his perfect wife, while Yuna turns completely red, shyly reminding the bold hero that her strict grandpa has not approved their late-night activities yet. Watching them act so sweet makes Ningfeng boil with pure rage. Johann completely ignores the jealous clown and turns to the bald stonecutter. He hands the gray rock over and tells the worker to wait for his exact instructions. Firing up his glowing blue magic eyes, our boy scans the rough stone to locate the juicy prize hidden inside. He traces invisible lines on the surface, ordering the cutter to hit the exact sweet spot. The bald worker squats down with the heavy rock, looking totally confused by the strange request. Ningfeng hits a smug smirk, roasting our hero for acting like a fake master who can see through solid walls. Johann shoots a badass glance, calmly dropping the absolute truth that he actually can see everything inside. While the cutter sparks up the loud saw, the crowd of rich bozos starts yapping, calling Johann a massive coward for turning his back on the machine. They assume he already accepted defeat and just feels too embarrassed to watch his money turn into dust. But right at that moment, a blinding green light violently erupts from the broken stone. Tang screams at our boy to come check out the massive profit. Ningfeng crosses his arms and copes hard, claiming it is probably just a tiny piece of average trash. His guard reminds everyone about the crazy $10 million bet resting on this single rock. Our boy casually swings his fingers, flexing that his hidden treasure packs way more value than a basic 10 million. The bald cutter fully opens the stone, triggering a massive green explosion that blinds the entire room. Tang proudly hyping up the gigantic ice jade that guarantees a filthy rich payout. The rich kid drops his jaw to the floor, completely stunned that a broke street kid actually scored the ultimate luxury bag. Random buyers swarm the table, glazing Johann's legendary eyesight and calling themselves total garbage compared to his vision. Ningfeng shakes with pure terror, screaming into the void because his brain cannot process the massive loss. He violently grabs his guard by the collar, asking why the fool promised the rock was completely worthless. The panicked guard cries and makes pathetic excuses, claiming accidents happen in the unpredictable market. Johann smoothly steps up with the winning check, thanking the crying rich kid for his generous cash donation. Ningfeng completely snaps, kicking his own guard across the floor while accusing Johann of setting a dirty trap. Our boy makes hilarious goofy faces, absolutely roasting the rich bozo for falling for the most obvious bait. The crowd turns their backs on the angry loser, swearing they will never buy cheap jewelry from his stupid company again. One push to the absolute edge, Ningfeng drops a super toxic threat. The salty boss screams that his family controls the entire jewelry market in the Dragon Kingdom. He promises to blacklist the massive jade, ensuring Johann cannot sell his shiny rock for a single penny. The cowardly crowd instantly backs down, whispering that nobody dares to offend the powerful Ning family cartel. Yuna steps up to defend her man's massive prize. Ningfeng just laughs like a crazy villain, loudly daring anyone in the room to buy the cursed stone. But suddenly, an old man firmly slams his heavy wooden stick onto the ground, confidently announcing he wants to buy the premium jade. The crowd of basic NPCs starts whispering, totally shocked that someone dared to challenge the massive Ning family cartel. The blonde bozo throws a huge tantrum, screaming about his ruined street clout just as a new challenger approach. An older boss rolls up, introduced by his guards as Chairman Liu of a rival jewelry empire. Ningfeng drops a fake smile, roasting the old boomer for dragging his tired bones out to the gambling festival. The thirsty crowd instantly recognizes the tension, gossiping that these two rival companies are locked in a ruthless turf war. Yuna and Johann watch the spicy drama unfold, realizing this old man completely despises the blonde guy. Chairman Liu steps right past the clown, looking at our boy and telling him to name any price for the premium jade. The peanut gallery hypes up the massive rock, screaming that this icy treasure is easily worth 200 million in cold cash. Johann taps his chin, realizing that befriending his enemy's ultimate rival is a massive brain play for his future bags. Our Chad locks eyes with the old boss and smoothly offers the shiny rock for a low price of exactly 200 million flats. Chairman Liu laughs and reaches out to shake on the deal, but Ningfeng violently shoves his hand forward, suddenly begging to buy the exact same rock he just cursed out. Yuna rolls her eyes while the crowd brutally roasting the rich kid for having actual brain damage and needing to be locked in a straitjacket. In his sick head, the blonde bozo plots to steal the premium jade just to bankrupt Liu's starving company. The old chairman completely snaps, warning the arrogant brat that he is crossing a massive line. Ningfeng just laughs like a total maniac, claiming his own empire needs the shiny rocks. Pointing a finger at our boy, the desperate guy screams that he will drop 250 million right now. Johann looks completely bored, dropping a casual rejection. Ningfeng literally trips over his own feet, screaming and crying on the floor while calling our hero a massive idiot. Johan glances over his shoulder, stating he would rather talk to humans than do business with dogs. Yuna and Tang rolling on the floor, laughing at the brutal roast. The surrounding NPCs join the massive bullying session, calling the blonde loser a literal barking mutt who belongs on a tight leash. Ningfeng shakes violently, pointing his finger while gasping for air, totally broken by the supreme disrespect. Johan digs his ear and cheekily apologizes for not having any bones for a dog, making the bozo violently puke a massive fountain of blood before passing out flat. Paramedics load the knocked-out Ningfeng onto a stretcher while his goofy guard cry about missing plans for vacations. The realization that the older couple is actually flirting hits the group hard. Everyone instantly cringes, Yuna feeling so nauseous she immediately demands to know where the toilet is. Meanwhile, Chairman Liu hands over the giant check to Johan with a massive thanks. Johan flexing that doing business with a real Chad beats dealing with that blonde loser anyway. Chairman Liu slides his shiny business card to our boy, dropping an open invite to join his massive company. Before Johan can even read the premium stats, Yuna jumps right in front of him and spreads her arms. She violently rejects the job offer for him, acting like a fully possessive baddie protecting her precious snack. Liu just laughs, brutally roasting her strict grandpa for raising such a wild granddaughter. The old boss praises Johan's crazy vision and calls him a future master, but a loud voice suddenly echoes from the hallway calling him trash. Tang barks back, demanding to know what kind of clown is disrespecting his bro. A brand new squad rolls up, featuring a blonde rich boy named Guo and an angry boomer. The thirsty crowd instantly gossips, hyping up the blue suit guy as Master Huang, a legendary stone reader from the south. Johan points his finger, looking totally lost, asking this random boomer who he even is and why he is crying. Huang points right back, screaming that our boy folded his bald younger brother Master Huang so hard he ended up bedridden. Our boy's brain finally clicks, remembering that bald dog who tried to scam them, which just makes the old boomer even angrier. Ling Yuna steps up to defend her man, spitting absolute facts that the bald bozo attacked them first and caught fair hands. Huang ignores her pure logic, pointing at Johan and daring him to lock in a massive high-stakes gambling bet. The boomer promises to bark like a dog and quit the Jade game forever if our boy actually manages to win. Tang asks about the penalty, and the old villain smirks, demanding Johan break all his limbs and become a total cripple if he loses. Yuna panics over the toxic terms, grabbing her man's hand and trying to drag him away from this massive trap. Before they can even reach the exit, the bald bodyguards step up and completely block their path. The blonde rich boy smirks, acting like an absolute final boss and asking who gave them permission to leave. Tang steps up ready to throw heavy punches, while the old boss warns Guo that he is playing in the wrong city. Guo just laughs in his face, flexing his family's massive wealth and daring anyone in the room to actually stop him. The arrogant kid claims he only pulled up because Master Huang agreed to carry his heavy bags for free. The old boss shakes in pure rage, but Johan calmly reaches out his hand to stop the friendly boomer from fighting. Our boy drops a confident smile and a thumbs up, locking in the deadly bet. The crowd of basic NPCs completely loses their minds, screaming that the young hero is picking a fight with the legendary Master Huang. Yuna grabs Johan's arm and begs him to back out, calling this a massive trap. Tang sweats, agreeing the deadly bet is totally rigged against them. Chairman Liu warns our boy to stop acting reckless. Dropping a smug grin, Johan tells her to relax, boldly claiming that he is 100% confident about winning the bet. Johan, the rich blonde bozo, and Master Huang hit devious smirks, fully locking in the toxic public agreement. Outboy raises his finger like a final boss, demanding Guo to bark 3 times on his knees when they loses. Yuna and the old boss gasp in pure shock at the absolute disrespect. The peanut gallery whispers that Johan has actual brain damage for testing the ruthless Guo family cartel. They yap that the mafia runs both the light and dark sides of the entire city. Gohan steps up to Johan, dropping a heavy threat and asking if the broke kid has a death wish. Our boy clenches his fist, swearing he never forgets a rat who tries to fold him. The arrogant master guarantees the blonde guy an easy sweep. Huang boldly wagers 1 free year of premium service to the mafia if his dirty tricks fail. Johan and Yuna get a house completely packed with cobwebs and dusty rocks. The squad steps into the dark room and Yuna instantly pinches her nose, gagging at the disgusting stench. Master Huang drops a wicked smile, revealing these boulders are pure garbage rejected by the entire market. He sets a 1-hour timer, daring our boy to pull a premium jade out of literal street trash. Johan stares at the massive pile, wondering why this ugly boomer dragged them to a dirty dump. Yuna panics, crying that searching thousands of useless rocks would easily take days to finish. She swears the room is totally empty of any valuable treasure. Johan taps his chin, realizing this impossible side quest is a total scam cooked up by the corrupt master. Johan whispers to his suited goon, confirming their dirty setup is perfectly locked in place. The bald master barking that our hero is destined to lose his cash today. Yuna tugs his shirt again, desperate to swap to an easier game before her man goes bankrupt. Johan just drops a confident smirk, brushing off her sweet worries like an absolute Chad. Firing up his hidden stats, he flexes that his premium vision can easily spot the juicy goods hidden inside the trash. The basic crowd laughs at his massive confidence, roasting him for thinking he can outsmart the market veterans. The haters call him a clueless rookie, totally blind to the fact our boy has actual cheat codes. Master Huang squats on the dirty floor and touches a basic rock. He drops it right away and claims it is just too normal for his premium taste. Johan stands in the back and watches the boomer put on a fake performance. Our boy hits a smug smile, knowing this crusty clown is totally acting for the crowd. He decides to stop playing games and fires up his glowing blue magic eyes. He unleashes his vision power to see through the thick layers of street trash. Johan keeps his eyes locked on the old man, while the boomer confidently struts through the room. Through his magic vision, our boy spots the exact rock Huang planted before the match even started. He watches the bald loser reach for his secret rock and mumble about securing the easy victory. Just as the boomer grabs his rigged prize, Johan tosses a stone. It hits Huang's rock with precision. The impact sends the target flying into a pile of identical stones where it disappears from sight. Johan drops a cheeky smile, claiming his hand just got a little slippery. Master Huang completely loses his mind, pointing his finger and screaming that our boy ruined his heavy bag on purpose. Johan crosses his arms and roasts the old boomer for crying over a simple mistake. He smoothly claims the rock is still there and dares the supposed master to just find it again. The surrounding crowd starts yapping, fully glazing the master and claiming he can easily spot the rock if he has true skills. Huang secretly panicking that this broke kid completely busted his dirty cheating setup. Our boy waves his hand, cheekily reminding the shaking fraud that the timer is almost out. The bald bozo immediately drops to his hands and knees, desperately digging through the dirt like a hungry street dog. Johan just laughs and casually walks away to hunt for his own massive prize. He strolls up to a giant cracked wall of solid stone and slaps his hand right on it, his magic eyes revealing an absolute god-tier treasure. Meanwhile, the bald master is hugging his pathetic rock, crying real tears of joy like he finally won a girl in his old age. Yuna and Tang stare at the crying boomer, totally disgusted by his overly dramatic reaction. Johan looks completely bored, roasting the old guy for celebrating way too early. Master Huang jumps up, screaming that Johan is finished. He then tries to save face by shouting that his glass jade is the best piece in the entire pile. The random NPCs calling him a living legend. They turn on our boy, brutally roasting him for talking a big game. Johan steps in front of the giant cracked stone. He boldly announces that this massive secures win against the old boomer, while the basic crowd erupts into wild laughter.